I wanna be like you. 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 Hello, welcome to another episode of I Wanna Be Like You with Elbi Cespedes. You're here, you made it, you pressed play, and I hope you stay watching. If you're here, this is pretty impressive because you've been listening for so long at this point, and I'm so grateful. Thanks for staying, especially if you listen to every episode. You know, I was talking about this earlier. I think that I've been saying the show is called I Wanna Be Like You, but what I've neglected to say is that the show is called I Wanna Be Like You with Elbi Cespedes, okay? Because, I can't neglect to say my name because then no one will know who I am. They'll just think that today's one host and the, and who knows? The show is not always I Want to Be Like You with Elbi Cespedes. There might be a time where it's I Want to Be Like You with one of you. One of you might take over for me one day, or long after I'm gone, there will be another I Want to Be Like You with someone else. So we're keeping this legacy going, But today it's I Want to Be Like You with Elbi Cespedes. Okay. This is why I have a podcast. It's to ramble. I clearly like talking, and so yeah. Anyway, hopefully you're not fast forwarding this part because today we have Brittany Conigatti, and I want to talk about Brittany. Brittany is fantastic. I've known her for a little while now, and I was looking through this playbill here. I don't know if the camera can focus on it. Focus camera. This is, if you're watching, I have the playbill of A Bronx Tale here, which premiered on Broadway opened on Broadway in 2016. And this was like one of the first Broadway shows I ever saw. It was like the third Broadway show I ever saw. And I go to talking about the story of me seeing A Bronx Tale, which was pretty fun and special. And Brittany took us backstage, which was the first time I'd ever been on a Broadway stage. It was really, really special. And I thought, what better way to give a description for who Brittany Conigatti is than going right here to her bio in this playbill. So, Brittany Conigatti, ensemble and dance captain, which she was also Annette. That was the name of her character, and Blue Capri Girl. That's how I know her. But yes, ensemble, dance captain, Broadway debut, national tours, and then she subsequently went to be in the Prom, which we talked about as well. National tours, Matilda, Beauty and the Beast, and then she has Paper Mill, West Side Story, Bronx Tale, Elf, Hairspray, High School Musical. Okay, and then she mentions a bunch of other regionals. Thanks to the Bronx Tale team, Block, Friends, and Family. We got to talking so much about Paper Mill Playhouse. And next, she is associate choreographing the Little Mermaid at Paper Mill Playhouse, which is so exciting. So we got to talking about that. We got to talking about swinging and Matilda and Beauty and the Beast. We got to play a little game. And I'm so grateful to Brittany for doing this episode. She has always been especially kind to me. And she talks a little bit about that too and how important that is to her. She just had a baby who's 1.5 years now and is one of the most beautiful babies I've ever seen in my life. And so we talked a little bit about that, navigating being a mom and also working in the industry. It's pretty amazing, and she's pretty amazing. So I'm so grateful and lucky to have her on today. I want to be like Brittany Conigatti. Are you ready on this? You want to do a check real quick?
I already did.
Okay, great. Sick. That's why I have him here.
Exactly.
Welcome to another I Want to Be Like You. Today, I want to be like Brittany Conigatti. Thank you so much, Brittany. Thank you for doing this. Okay, so we start the podcast with the same question every time.
Okay.
And it is, I shouldn't say question, I should say talking points. That's what I'm going to normalize doing too. It's not questions. We're having a conversation. It's talking points. Who was your I Want to Be Like You as a kid?
Oh. So it has nothing to do with theater
at
all. It was Mia Hamm, who was on the U.S. women's national team.
For
soccer.
what? For soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What about Mia Hamm? You were a soccer player.
Hardcore.
Big.
Yeah, I really thought I was going to be on the U.S. national women's soccer team.
No way.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And then somehow pivoted to theater.
Well, who's Mia Hamm? Tell us more about Mia Hamm.
So she, okay, now you're putting me on the spot.
Okay. No, it's okay.
Was,
how old were you?
All through grammar school.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
From every biography or book report we had to do, I would always choose Mia Hamm and then wear my soccer uniform.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's
to
really
school
sweet.
To speak on her. Yeah.
That's really sweet.
So she was the captain of I do know that. She was the captain of the U.S.
So you were always really athletic then?
Yes.
You were
I would
always
say
super-
I was more sportsy than artsy.
Oh,
growing
yeah.
up.
Were you always in dance?
Yeah, I did it. I started when I was 2.5, and continued doing it through high school. I went to LaGuardia for dance. So, and that's sort of where the idea of like me wanting to do theater.
When did you start dancing?
2.5.
2.5?
A baby.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And what did you do?
Ballet. What did I do? Ballet and tap to start, and then I think at 5 we were allowed to do jazz.
I think tapping as like a 2-year-old little tappers.
You can't stand up. You know what I mean?
Like in the whole world though.
Right.
Like watching those videos are like actually the best.
Yeah,
It was like
you
little
are
2-year-old
barely
tappers who are just
walking.
walking on. That's
Yep.
pretty much what they're doing.
And at the
Walking
time,
on,
it was
turning.
like a big, like Barney was huge.
Yes.
When I was younger, I'm dating myself.
Barney was huge for me,
So a lot
too.
of our steps were named after these characters that we'd watch on TV. So Barney and Baby Bop was basically like heel and together. Yeah, so it made
really
going
cute.
to dance really fun because you got to still think about and play with all of your
That's really cute.
characters.
So you went to the Fame School.
I did.
And you know what? I should back up a little bit because you're from New York, and it's a discrepancy when we talk. I was talking to Phil about this when we have New York guests on because for some guests, I asked this question: what was your first Broadway show? And for some guests, it's like they were 30 and their first Broadway show was actually. But
Right.
because you're from New York, I imagine you were a kid.
Very little.
Yeah. What was your show?
I want to say 4 or 5.
Wow.
Disney's Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast. Oh, that actually. I think who else? Tommy said that. Yeah, Tommy also
Yeah.
said that was his first.
That one, it was like there was like a bunch of them, like Beauty and the Beast, Peter Pan, and Annie were like the 3 out that I like vividly
The
remember.
trifecta.
Yes.
The Beauty and the Beast,
seeing.
Peter Pan, and Annie.
But I was obsessed with Annie, and I was obsessed with Beauty and the Beast. Still am with Beauty and the Beast. I love
Yeah,
Beauty and
and
the
you got
Beast.
to do Beauty and the Beast.
And I got to do Annie live on NBC.
Yes, that's right. That's
so
right.
it kind of was like
We'll
a
get
full
there.
circle moment.
Yes. So you went to LaGuardia, the Fame
did.
School.
Fame School.
Did you audition for LaGuardia? Well, you had to.
Yes. So I wanted no part of it.
Okay.
Essentially. My brother went to school in Manhattan during 9/11.
Oh.
He went to Regis.
Wow.
And so in my brain, I just always had that like something bad happens when you go into the city at that point in time. And my best friend, her mom passed away in the towers. And so
Wow.
I just had this like fear of going into Manhattan, to be honest. And I ended up taking a makeup dance class at my studio, and the teacher who taught on Saturdays went to LaGuardia as a dance major. So after I took the class, she pulled my mom aside and was like, Brittany's gonna be auditioning, correct, for LaGuardia? My mom was like, she doesn't really want to, like, she's kind of scared to go into the city, and she's like, you have to make her audition. Like, just let her audition, whether she goes or not, but she needs to go.
Yeah.
And so I did. Went there, and so with the dance department specifically, you need a callback in order to get into the school. They tell you there, like, some people just get in, some people don't get accepted, and some people get a callback because we're like kind of on the fence. You need the callback. So when I went, I ended up getting the callback, and I was so upset that I came up and I was like, now I have to do this all over again. Like, I have to go in, do the dance class, we have to go back to the city, the whole
Have to
deal.
give me a callback.
I know, you give me a callback. Now I'm like, can I please have a callback?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah, me too.
So yeah, it was went into the city, did the callback.
Did you audition? Oh, like your goal was to be a dance major, or no?
That was the only thing I did audition for.
Okay,
I was
okay.
going to St. Joseph Hill Academy.
Okay,
That is where I was
okay,
going.
okay, yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted the uniform, the laptop,
Aw,
yes. I came from a Catholic school, and so
Yes.
it just was very comfortable. I knew people who already went there. My best friend
Yeah.
was going to be going there. Like, it just was very comforting knowing that I was like, nope, I'm going to go to Hill, and that's what it is. So
Sure.
LaGuardia was kind of like the wrench in everything,
Sure.
which ended up being like a beautiful thing. But
Yeah.
so I ended up going to the callback. You have to then create a solo. I've never done a solo before, so luckily, Tice Diorio, who is like really known in the dance industry, is very good friends with the owner of the dance school that I went
Oh,
to,
very
and so
cool.
he was around, and he also went to LaGuardia, so he did my solo for it. And then so when you do the callback, you do your solo, you do another full ballet class, you do a modern class. It's kind of like a whole mix of things in one. Never
Wow.
did modern before either.
Yeah.
Before this, so then I did the callback, and then you like wait for a letter. Now everything is digital, but like you waited in the mail for your letter, and when
my
I got
gosh.
it, I got in, and I was like, "Here you go."
It was like
not
Harry
going.
Potter.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you-
exactly.
like,
Yeah, exactly.
You open it.
And
You're like,
owls
we're
flying
going.
and
We're going
dropping your
Hogwarts. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool. And honestly, the commute is the same from Staten Island to the city. Sometimes it can feel like
Truly.
that. Yeah.
So yeah, then I ended up getting in. I gave the letter to my mom, and I was like, "Yeah, so I'm not going, but glad to know I got in." And she's like, "Okay." So she ended
Wow.
up telling the school that I was going, because
Yeah.
she was like, "I will convince her to go if it's kind of the last thing I do.
Right.
So yeah, then like a few weeks before school started with Hill, you had to get a laptop, the uniform, the whole thing. So I had the uniform from my cousin just in case, and then with the laptop.
You were already prepped.
Like
you
literally,
totally
I was prepped.
knew.
And then my dad's like, Michelle, I'm not buying Brittany a laptop if she's not going to Hill. Like, not every school is going to use it. Like, this school specifically needs it. He's like, so she needs to choose. Like, is she going or she's not going? Yeah. And it was literally probably like a week before school, and I was like, you know what? I guess I can go. Yeah. Like, you told me, like, if I don't like it, I could come home, right? And my parents were like, absolutely, you can go right back to Hill. Like, it'll always be there, but, like, you can't get back into LaGuardia. So you kind of should try it out, and if you don't like it, you come home. And that's it. Right. And my dad made the deal of, he's like, listen, if you hate the commute, I'll drive you in. Like, they were very forthcoming with trying to, like, get me to go, because they knew I would love it. Yes. And so luckily I did.
Yeah, and you did love it.
Yeah, the beginning was really tough, I will say. The first like 3 months were really hard. Only because I came from a very small school where I knew everyone, and LaGuardia is huge. Huge, yeah. It's 9 floors, 10 floors, if you include, the basement and the upper floor. Dance was on the 8th floor, drama was on the basement, and so it was just like a very big adjustment. And the amount of kids, like I knew every single person in my school, and now I'm getting into a new school where I knew no one, essentially. I knew one person going in there.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So it was a very big shell shock.
Did you, well, okay, so we should talk about the way that I know you is through SICTA, Staten Island Children's Theater, and you did SICTA for like a show, right?
I did SICTA for a summer.
For a summer. Okay.
Because
but were you
all
already
my
doing
best friends
theater?
didn't. No.
Okay, so you did it out of association.
Well, I guess I should say yes. I did the Blessed Sacrament Parish Players.
Okay, yeah.
So I would basically go in. I did them because my friends did it, and it was fun, and it like gave us something to do. And I like went in and did like the dream ballets. Like, you know what I mean?
That's
like
sweet though.
I was the dancer girl.
Yeah.
And so
what were the shows? What shows did you do?
Oh, I did a bunch there. The first one I did was My Fair Lady. And I was just a kid, one of like the kids of whoever. Mm-hmm. The next one I did was Annie.
Oh, look at that!
Which is great, and I got Molly.
Oh, that's really sweet. How old were you?
I was in 4th grade, but I'm little.
I was gonna say, because you could say like I did it. It was actually last year, and I was like, oh, I guess I gotta.
4th grade, but me speaking and singing.
Huge deal.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Dance, I was like, oh, this is so fun. I could do hard knock life.
How was it for you at that time?
Hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I memorizing lines was good, all that stuff was good, but if I messed up, I had like a complete breakdown. I was sort of a perfectionist. Yeah. Still kind of am. When it comes to things of me being really like I needed to be the best in it. Yeah. And if I had a mess up or whatever, I was like I would totally break down and cry. And my mom's like, Brittany, it's community theater, like relax. It's not a big deal. No one knows the lines. It's okay. And luckily, like everyone within the show, obviously were like old pros and like did it all the time, and it was really fun. And so it was a very encouraging atmosphere, and Becca was in my cast. So I had like my best friend in the show with me, which made it really nice. And her dad was our Daddy Warbucks.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Wow.
So it's like I knew everyone in the show, which made it more familiar, but it was really scary.
Oh my gosh, that's
really
so
nerve-wracking. And then the dance numbers would come, and I'd be like, "Woo!" But the singing and acting were stressful.
That's so funny.
Yes.
Let's jump back to LaGuardia. Yes. Because after LaGuardia, were you like, okay, this is what I'm pursuing this, there's nothing else, or where were you at with that?
So my senior year, I sort of made the switch. Okay. I always loved theater. I loved going, I loved watching, but I was very nervous singing and speaking. Mm-hmm. Dance, fine. Yeah. And so we would take like group voice lessons. Like you take an elective in your junior year and your senior year at LaGuardia, and they choose them for you. So you don't get to pick yourself. Okay. So one semester you do tap, another semester you do jazz, another semester you do a voice class, and then another semester you do like a choreography class. Cool. So you kind of are exposed to all different, avenues of like where you might want to go. Yeah. And so when we took the voice class, it was fun. They taught us musical theater songs, obviously, and then the choreography with the song. And so it allowed you to sort of still be in the realm of dance, but getting enough comfortability to sing it as well. Yeah. So that was the first one I ended up doing was all that jazz and learning, that original choreography, which ties into how I ended up booking my first show, ironically. So I auditioned for Paper Mill Playhouse, High School Musical they were doing. And my mom was really good about like going online and looking for like different auditions. Once I said I was like sort of interested in it, she was like, okay, let me like pull some auditions, and if it seems right,
That's really sweet.
I'll show them to you if you think you want to do it. Like, you know, we'll pull you from school, you go and audition and whatever else. It was kind of different than it is now. There used to be like specifically open calls for all of these theaters, and now it's like a little bit more difficult. But so it was an open call day. I went, and there was like 400, 500, like tons of people there signed up. And luckily, because, you know, we're used to waking up early to go into Manhattan, I was there early, so I was early on the list. And I got seen for the dance, and it was like they wanted like jazz hip hop, and I was like, great, that's me. Knew nothing about the show, never saw the movie at that point.
Oh my gosh.
And so it just came from the tour.
Oh my gosh.
Was coming into Paper Mill, and it was supposed to then go to Broadway. So they were doing
never
like
seen
all
the movie?
all these steps. Well, once I auditioned for it, I did. But
That's so funny, but you hadn't seen the movie beforehand?
No.
Why?
I don't know. Actually, like
I'm like, it's High School Musical. That's like crazy.
I just didn't.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and so then I went in for it. It was really fun, and I kept getting like callback after callback.
Yeah.
And then it was time to sing, and they were like, "Okay, can you sing?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And they're like, "Okay, like you're gonna," and I was like, "Oh, you want me to actually sing? Like, you just are not taking my word for it." Okay, yeah, sure. And they're like, "Okay, do you have any sheet music?" Silence. I was like, "Well, yes." One song, I said, but I don't think it's really appropriate for this show, but it's the only song I have sheet music for. And they're like, okay, well, what is it? And I was like, all that jazz. And so I went in and did.
They say High School Musical is based on Chicago. They say that it's very similar.
Yeah, it's the exact.
That was the root.
Yeah, so I went in and I sang all that jazz with choreography, because that's what I thought you did.
Right, of course, yes.
At 17.
Oh my God, for Paper Mill.
Oh yeah, like literally,
that's
like
crazy.
Come on, babe, like the whole thing. Yes, to which everyone behind the table was like this. And then the jaws went up because they were like, wait, this girl's actually serious right now. So let's.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And you booked it.
And then I booked it. Yeah. So
That's
then
unbelievable.
I was in my forensics class because I was ahead in science. So they were like, okay, you can either take AP Bio or forensics. And I was like, well, forensics sounds really cool. I'm gonna take forensics.
For sure.
And I literally saw my phone ring and I was like, oh, I don't know this number. You know, it's like the call everyone waits for. It's like 212, and you're like, oh, it's New York.
You know what I mean? I always say if I get a random call, I'm always like, I was on the phone the other day and I go, hey, listen, I'm gonna have to hang up. Just give me a second. I think Broadway's calling.
Right.
I was like, I think it just
never know.
in the case it might be Broadway, and I'm not sending it to voicemail.
So I literally looked at my teacher and I was like, I think I need to answer this. And she's like, okay. And I was like, okay. So I went outside, and the casting director, because I didn't have an agent, casting director calls, and she's like, hey, just want to let you know, like, you've booked High School Musical, like, welcome to the cab, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, great. I was like, so what should I do about school? She's like, I'm sorry. And I was like, yeah, I'm in high school. And she's like, you're in high school. She goes, well, to be honest, if we knew that, you probably wouldn't have booked this, because we hire what they called at the time local jobbers, where they just come from like 3 to 6. So they leave school a little early, but they go to school all day. They're not having to like hire a tutor and the whole thing.
Right.
And I was like, oh, no, don't worry about it. I'm like, I go to an art school. I'm sure we figure this out all the time.
Yeah. No.
LaGuardia does not figure that out all the time.
No. Well, more colleges don't figure that out. That's like a
So luckily, because I was ahead academically and I was really driven in my dance classes and like very serious about what I wanted to do, the head of the dance department at LaGuardia was fantastic. And she's like, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. She goes, you'll come to school and you'll do your first period, which was an academic. At the time, because I was a senior, all of my dance classes were in the afternoon.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So it worked out where I went into first period,
That's like
did what I need to do, went to rehearsal, so then I didn't have to do any of the other like academic classes that I was in. The teachers were really great about giving me the work that I could just do while I was at rehearsal, and then handing it in when I went back to school the next day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then on my lunch break, I would go back to LaGuardia and do what I need to do, catch up with my teachers or check in with the dance department, and then I would go back to rehearsal. And then after rehearsal, I would go back to school because I was still working on stuff. I was doing what's called Young Arts, which was like a big competition that a lot of the art schools do to get scholarships and things for college.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then I was a part of what the big talent show at LaGuardia is, which is Rising Stars.
Yes.
I was also rehearsing that at the same
that.
time. So I kind of was doing a million things at one time, which...
Who directed that production of High School Musical?
Mark Hobie, who's the artistic director. Yeah.
Was he artistic directing at the time at Paper Mill?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh,
yeah, so
cool.
he always picks one show a season that he wants to direct, and that was the one that he chose. And Dennis Jones was the choreographer.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
What? That is Dennis Jones did High School Musical. So you're 17 working with Mark, and that's like crazy.
Yes,
that's like
and
so crazy.
I didn't know any better.
Oh my gosh.
I did actually audition for High School Musical. So after I did Annie, circling back to Blessed Sacrament days, after I did Annie, I only would either audition or see shows that were Annie. Like, that's how obsessed I got. And so Paper Mill was putting on Annie like a year later, and I was like, well, I have to go in. I have to go in for it.
Yeah.
So I made it really far there. Not putting two and two together with when I'm a senior in high school. That is the same theater that I was auditioning for Annie for.
That is so funny.
Yeah, so I got to the very end for that. They had like 3 casts of it, and they ended up double casting it.
Oh my goodness.
But I wasn't taller than the Annie, and so I was in for Pepper. And I had to be taller than the Annie, and the Annie that they chose, which was Sarah Hyland, I was not bigger than at the time.
Oh my
Isn't that
God,
wild?
that is so crazy. Yeah, I've seen clips of Sarah
Yes.
as Annie. That's like gone viral, especially now that
Yep.
she's in Gatsby and whatnot. That's so crazy.
Right.
That is like so crazy. Okay, so what was that like doing High School Musical with them? Like, did you? I'm
Crazy.
sure you didn't realize the breadth of the fact that it was Dennis Jones and
Oh, and
Mark
literally knew nothing. Like in
Right.
music rehearsal, we'd sit down and like they'd be like, "Okay, crescendo here and do this here," and I
yeah.
literally would get the girl next to me. Thank God the girls were so sweet, and she'd be like, "That just means you're gonna get louder as you go." And I was like, "Thank you." So my whole score for High School Musical is definitions. It looks like a dictionary for music.
Do you still have it?
Oh yeah, I saved
Wow.
everything.
Oh, that's really
So
cool.
if you look at it, it's like this note equals like hold it for 2 counts, and everything then translated also to dance. So I'm like,
That's so
okay,
funny.
this note. I still don't read music, but
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever. An 8th note, it's like hold 2 counts. This line means cut off. Like, so all of my
Wow.
things, and now I still notate my music that way,
That way.
from that very first
That
show.
is so
it's,
funny.
It's really
That
it's
is really funny. Okay, so then what made you decide to go to AMDA? Like, well, because you're now in your senior year, you have a Paper Mill credit on.
out of nowhere.
Yeah, and so then what made you decide to go to AMDA?
So within the cast, at that point, the like college auditions were already like full blown happening.
I was gonna say, was it High School Musical spring or fall?
It was in the fall.
Okay.
And so everyone was already picking the schools and stuff that they were auditioning for, and I was solely going to schools for dance.
Okay.
And so I did all of my college auditions as for a dance major, not for theater. And so once I did High School Musical, I was like, wait, I kind of want to go for theater now. Like, I don't want to go strictly for dance.
Yeah.
I was supposed to go to Fordham Ailey because
Oh,
I thought
okay.
I was going to be in the Ailey company.
Yes.
Because, like I said, I need to be the best in
Sure,
everything
sure,
that I
sure.
do.
But, hey, I mean,
So,
you could have done the Fordham Ailey company.
thank you.
Though.
I think so too.
Yeah.
There's still a part of me that it's like, I would have been.
Did you audition and not get in? Is that what happened? Or?
No. I was going to Fordham Ailey. And
Okay.
then when I did High School Musical, I was like, wait, I really want to do theater now. And my parents were like, well, I don't really know what schools are still auditioning or accepting people, whatever else.
Yeah.
And a lot of people within the company went to AMDA. And so they were saying it's kind of like a rolling admissions there where
Yeah.
it's semester based and
Yes.
not year based.
Right.
And so they were still having their auditions to get in for that next like upcoming year. And so
okay.
that's honestly really the only reason why I went there.
Oh,
To
wow.
be honest,
Cool. Yeah.
and because it was 2 blocks from LaGuardia, and I knew
Yes,
the area, and
you
I was
knew
like,
the
"Oh yeah,
area.
I've seen that school. It's down the block."
Yeah.
Um,
Is it still there?
yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't think I've
61st.
ever.
Yeah, and
it's funny, I
LaGuardia
don't
is
think I've ever seen
65th
it.
Street.
Wow, that's so funny. What was your time like at AMDA?
It was great. It was one of those. It's a school where I always say, whoever's going to go there, it's what you put in is what you get out.
Yeah.
And I am very much like, if I'm investing in this, like I want to get the most out of it, and so I had a great experience there. I had a similar situation where my like 3rd semester there. So it's a 4-semester program.
Yeah.
You're like not supposed to audition or do anything, and I did. And I booked
What did you book?
Hairspray at
At
Paper Mill
Paper
Playhouse.
Mill. Yeah.
And so I kind of had to go through the whole thing again of
Right.
what happened in high school, now
Right.
in college.
Yeah.
But at that point, I was like, I don't really care. Like, they're like, you're not ready, and da-da-da-da. And it's like, well, I obviously am because I booked.
Yeah,
And it's not the
yeah.
first thing I booked.
Yeah.
So I had that mentality, and by that point, I already had an agent as well.
Yeah.
And
Okay, so how did you get your first agent? Through
I
LaGuardia?
No.
No.
Originally, I got it through a dance convention. I got awarded a scholarship that it was for, I believe, Clear Talent. And they wanted me to fly to Florida to do a solo, and that's where they would judge me and see if they wanted to like sign me.
Oh my gosh.
To which my mom was like, absolutely not. We
Yeah,
live
to
in New York
Florida.
City. Like, she
Yeah.
can come into the city. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
going to Florida to do this.
Yeah.
But it was, it's money making. It was through
Yeah.
a competition, a convention, and whatever else.
Yeah.
So my mom was like, no, we're good. Like, unless you're going to see her in New York, like, she doesn't need to go.
Right.
And they were like, okay. And I was like, okay, great. And then at that point, she's like, okay, well, wait, she could maybe get an agent, so I should probably look into this a little bit more.
Sure.
And then Block was having just an open call. And she's like, you should just go, Britt. Like, see what it's like. And so I did. And again, there was like 400, 500 people. And I was the youngest Block client. signed
Wow.
for many years. Like now they take on kids who are
Yeah.
slightly younger, but for years I was the youngest
And are
one.
you still with them? You're still with them. Wow,
Yeah.
you've been with them all this time. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
since I'm 17.
That is, oh my gosh, that is really,
It's
really
wild,
cool.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, so it's funny because I usually put like, oh, like what was your first professional job? But that was checked before you went to college. What about your equity card? How did you first get your equity card?
So it used to be where if you did 2 equity shows at the same theater, or 2 shows at the same theater, you were offered your equity card. So High School Musical, I was non-equity. Hairspray, they said, do you want to take your card? Like we're offering it to you. This is your second show at Paper Mill. And at the time, I obviously had no other credit. And I was like, I think it would be a little silly that now I'm going to separate myself.
And jump into this.
Right, and put myself in a room full of people who have tons of credits, whether it's touring or, Broadway or whatever else. And then it's like, sure, my talent can speak for itself, but I didn't know. Sometimes I just look at your resume to call you in for things. And I had the agent, so that helped a little bit. But he was like, just hold, like, talking to my parents and my agent at the time, he's like, I think we should just hold off. You're booking now. And then while I was doing Hairspray, I booked the Beauty and the Beast tour, which was my first tour, which was non-equity, but essentially we were treated like equity. Like it was,
What was the tour non-equity, or were you just not?
The tour
it was a non-equity tour. Wow.
So I was one of the first replacements on this. It's the tour Tommy did actually.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was the first tour since the Broadway show had happened.
Okay.
It was the first one they launched after.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't
So
realize
they didn't launch an equity one. They launched
a non-equity tour.
One. Yeah,
that's
but
crazy.
it was all the same choreography, the same team. Like everything was the Broadway show.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so that's why you decided to stay non-ec.
Well, I decided before that happened, but then because I stayed on equity, I was able to do that. And then I toured
which is such a smart reason, like to stay, like that's such a big thing though, is like stay non-equity until you feel 100%
right. Like
ready.
now you can just buy into equity. You know what I mean? It's a whole different ballgame.
Yes. But that's what I mean. Even though you can buy into equity, it's like doesn't mean that you should jump the gun and join equity.
Yeah.
There's those things are very much still in play of like, oh, actually I'm going to wait it out.
Right.
And,
There's one guy who did that tour with me who at the time, I'm aging him, was I think 30 or 29. And he is still non-equity and touring. And he's done like 9 tours. And I'm going to call out Jeff. I'm like, Jeff, why are you still non-equity? Like you've booked all these. He's like, you think I'm going to get these like principal roles on an equity contract? Like I'm not dumb. Like I'm not gonna get that. Like I'd rather do the show and then get the experience, and like still be on the road and like doing roles I really want to do.
Yeah.
So I stayed on ec.
Sick.
And he's right, and he's loving it, and his career has been that, but he's worked consistently.
Right, and there's plenty of
all those
work.
years.
Clearly.
Right.
I mean, that's so.
Yeah.
What made you take the jump then to join?
So then I did the Beauty and the Beast tour, and I came home, and then I booked a show at Malt's Jupiter Theater. I did the music band there, and I was Zenita.
Oh my gosh. Zenita.
Yeah, and so I felt like at that point I was clocking in shows that, or at least my resume was built up enough that I felt more confident going into a room.
Yeah.
And because I had Zenita, Silly Girl, like I had names and not just ensemble.
Oh, I didn't realize you were a silly girl in Beauty and the Beast. That's so cool. Wow.
Yeah. Purple Silly. Which I, again, was Purple Silly at Paper Mill.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Truly
Perfect.
full circle moment.
Yeah, and you're wearing purple right now.
And I'm wearing purple right now.
There's something serendipitous to it, I'm telling you. So you're saying you...
So then...
The malts was...
Right. And so the malts also was like, if you'd like to take a card, you do essentially put a majority of your contract as non-equity, and then the last 2 weeks or so, you join the union, and then you become equity.
With those shows, were you, if you don't mind me asking, were you being paid equity rate, or were you, like, as Anita, or as... Well, not Silly Girl, because that was a non-ec tour, but no.
No, but once you became equity, then you got the bump.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So your contract technically then did change, but no, in the beginning I was just, because Zenita is technically not considered a principal. It's a featured ensemble, even though she has like the 2 scenettes and things like that.
Thing, right?
Correct, yeah. So it's not like they needed that contract to be equity, but it could be because they were only then paying me for 2 weeks out of the 6. You know what I mean? So
I see. Okay,
it's all a logistics game with money when it comes to things like that, and not
it's more of a,
which is a lot of how now, having been behind the table for a bunch of other shows, it's like you see, you're like, oh, it had nothing to do with this person's talent. It's truly like, A, I don't have that contract, or B, we can only allot this amount of money, or C, like there's so many other things that fall into play that as a performer you're like, it's me.
Well, you see it. It's actually funny because we talked to Phil about this too. He said that having associate choreographed and whatnot, he was in a room where he was making certain decisions and whatnot, and he was like, I can't hire you if
Yes.
you're equity.
Yes.
He's like, because
And it happens way more frequently than you would like to think. Yeah.
But it is a catch-22 in a certain sense because non-equity isn't getting seen.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So it's like, how are you supposed to hire
really
non-equity
hard,
people
right.
if we can't?
Which is why when I started, they used to have those open calls. So
Yeah.
Paper Mill would have their EPA, their ECCs, and then a separate day of open calls.
Yeah.
And so you had we weren't having to wake up at 4 a.m. to put your name on a list because you knew you had a day to audition and you weren't going to wait after equity. You could still go that day and they would try and see you, but it wasn't like that was the be all end all.
Right.
And there were a lot more appointments, to be honest. Like when I first had my agent, like majority of the things that I got into the room for non-equity was through an appointment.
Wow.
Which is also now hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's funny too because just because of the, and even as equity, it's hard to get in certain respects.
Yes.
Because there's just an overabundance of people, and that's what I mean. Even I think
like you're competing within your agency before you even get to compete within the people. You know what I mean? In the pool of people.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the Outsiders just did an open call. Wicked does their open calls now for those reasons. And I think that equity members in general wound up not going to those calls because they're meant for the money and stuff, which is kind of fitting, which is nice. You know, and for the few that still exist, it's kind of, right. I was just complaining about this blue thing because if you watch Tommy's episode, it wasn't there and now it's here and we just got it. I've grown to like it. I didn't like it.
It gives dimension, to be honest.
Yeah, it does. It just moved us a lot more downstage, if you will. And I was just like, I don't want. Hopefully, it's not ruining it for any of you who are watching. Hopefully, it's not too distracting.
This one thing is gonna ruin it.
Yeah, it's just making. Yeah, it's just like, oh, what is that blue thing in the back? It wasn't there before. Okay, back to Brittany. So, let's talk about your Broadway debut. How first of all. How long after joining the union did you make your Broadway debut?
So I joined the union with Music Man. No, I did a bunch of other shows before.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I made my Broadway debut when I was 25.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I should mention that you're like the Paper Mill queen. I think
Thank
that I
you
didn't.
so much.
Yeah, I really. Well, it's funny because I didn't really know, and in researching you for this, I was like. And that's you. Like you might as well be the artistic director at Paper Mill.
Truly, it is one of, if not my absolute favorite place to work.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I only went there for the first time like 3 years ago, but I love.
And everyone there is truly family. Like they treat you like family, and they're all related somehow. You know what I mean? So it's like the head of Wigs, her husband is the head of the Rail, and this guy. Like, so everyone kind of has an in, and if they like you, you're golden, and if they don't like you, you'll work there once and never again. Do you know what I mean? Wow. It's like a very tight knit group, and it's because they want everyone coming in there to experience and having that experience. Like they pride themselves on being a family.
Yeah.
And I think they all do a really good job of like welcoming everyone in and really making you a part of that.
The town is really cute.
So cute.
Yeah.
Milburn Deli
is really cute. Yeah.
All the restaurants.
Yeah.
No, truly.
Yeah.
It's a dream. Being there.
Yeah. So your Broadway debut came from there. You did Bronx Tale.
Yes.
So tell me about booking Bronx Tale.
Wild. So I auditioned for the dance lab of Bronx Tale. Prior to that, they did one reading or a few readings, and then it was the dance lab, workshop, Paper Mill, Broadway.
Oh my gosh.
So I auditioned for, and again, this is like a really bad Italian. I had never seen A Bronx Tale before going in. This is sort of my thing, I'm now realizing, as I'm saying out loud. Like, I truly don't know much about shows or theater, still to this day, even after everything that I've
really
done.
Funny.
Which I kind of think leads me...
Serves you?
Yeah, because I go in not with, like, this, like, aura of, like, I need to impress these people, even though I know they're, like, really important people.
Yeah.
I just go in because I, like, genuinely love what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so there's, like, no brown nosing, because, to be honest, I don't know who is who in the room.
Yeah.
Like, truly, Alan Menken walked in to the music rehearsal one day, and I looked to the girl next to me, and I was like, who is that? And she's like, that is Disney.
Oh, my God.
Like, that is literally Alan Menken. And I was like, okay, cool.
Well, it's kind of fitting from now on. Just don't watch any. If you hear
right?
it's becoming a music, I have this thing.
Watching it.
You're not watching it. I had never seen Bronx Tale before seeing the musical.
So I got the appointment for the dance lab. I went in and I auditioned. I had a really good time. I felt really good about it. Sergio like led the room really well, and Jerry Zaks came in. We sang our song, and he was like giving me acting points on my song because the Italian girls don't do much in the show.
What song was it? Do you remember?
So they wanted you to go in with like a 60s song, so I went in with Heat Wave.
Okay.
And then he's
Heat Wave like Irving Berlin Heat Wave?
No. whenever I'm with him.
Okay, gotcha.
Not for, doesn't match our show
Okay,
at all.
gotcha.
Now that I know what Bronx Tale turned into.
Sure.
So whatever, you go in, they're like, we need a 60s song. I'm like, great, I'll learn one, and that's what I did. So I went in and sang it, and he's like, I need something like tougher. Do you have anything else? And now, also, if you know me, I have literally probably 3 songs in my book, period. Like, I sing the same song. Like, if they want a ballad, I'm like, can you just slow this one down a little bit? Like, bad, really bad. But I know the songs that I sing well, and I'm like, this is where you're really gonna see the best of me.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I have Heartbreaker. I'm like, totally 80s does not go with the show. And he's like, all right, do it. And I literally sang the first like 2 bars, and he was like, yes. Okay, great. Keep going. I was like, okay. And so then he gave me like little pointers throughout that, just I guess to see if I take direction. And then I got the call. The other people within the work or in the dance lab, I'd say of the 20 of us that did it, 3 of us had never worked for anyone on the team before. And no one else had to audition but us, essentially. So it was me and these 2 other guys who, one was a doo-wop and one was a wise guy.
Okay.
So I did the dance lab, which was like a solid like 2 weeks, 4 weeks. I don't remember. And we did 3 like big numbers in the show. We did the opening number. We did the little boys number.
Yeah.
And then we did I Like It. Yeah. And then we did another song that got cut called Confession at the time, which was a whole scene of C going into confession, and it was a whole number based on confession. It was actually pretty
that is so funny.
legit. Yeah, it was really fun.
But
it ends up getting cut. And so after that, then it's kind of like you're waiting around. You know a workshop's happening, but they have to ask you to then be in the workshop. And then at the same time, Matilda was happening. Okay. And I was in for the Broadway company. I made it to the end for their swing, which was the swing that covers the kids and the adults. Okay. Hence I'm short. Sure. So that's sort of
But it works in your favor.
Sort of is one of my things.
I was going to say, it's like special skills. I'm short.
Right. It's like, have I played over 17? Not really sure. So at the same time that they were launching the tour, and the producers were the same. Yeah. And so they called my agent and was like, we really want Brittany out on the tour to be the swing, whatever else. It does overlap with the workshop, and we want her on the tour. And so I didn't have the choice because I would have picked A Bronx Tale to not go on tour. Right. I didn't have that option. They were like, so we'll see if like what life the show has after, but she's going on tour with Matilda, essentially. Wow. So then I went on tour, and while I was out on tour, the associate choreographer reached out to me, and he was like, hey Britt, like we finished up the workshop, but the show's gonna be moving, like we're gonna be doing it at Paper Mill, like are you still interested? Oh my gosh. I was like, I've never not been interested. Right. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I'd much rather be doing A Bronx Tale than on tour right now. Although I really did love Matilda.
No, of course.
And I learned so much swinging that. I covered 22 people. Yes.
That's what that show is hard. That show is really hard.
Honestly, probably the hardest show I've ever done.
Yeah.
Because of all the moving parts and because of the amount of people I had to cover.
I was going to say, it's also just really well written. It's really well choreographed.
It honestly is it's brilliant. It really is. So when I walked into rehearsal for that, it was literally like, here is who you cover. And I like looked at the sheet. I was like, this is essentially everyone in the show. And they were like, and I was like,
even if you just tell me, hey, you know what? You just have to do school song. That you're just in school song. I'd be like, that's enough. Like,
no, it's wild. So it was adults and children, male and female, regardless. So like I was dressed as a boy sometimes. I was it was nuts. And because you're traveling in each city, like the school systems there have different rules and regulations. So like if so-and-so didn't get his school hours in before this time, like he couldn't do the show that night because then he had to go into school. And so I was on probably 5 out of the 8 shows every week. Mainly because of like scheduling with the kids. Yeah. And we even had 2 kid swings, do we have 2? Yeah, 2 kid swings. But I mean, they also can only handle so much with also going to school themselves. So it was wild.
How long were you on that tour for?
I did it for close to a year. 9 months, 10 months. Nice. Yeah. That's really cool. Left it because to go do Bronx Tale. Yeah. So again, it's the same producers, so it's not like I could call out and go to audition and like not see anyone I know because it's the entire producing team behind the table. So I ended up getting so the associate choreographer reached out to me. I was like, no, I'm definitely interested. Yeah. I never didn't not want to do it. He's like, great, because Sergio like really loved you and is like really pushing for you. And I was like, great. I was like, how do I get back in the room? And so they ended up having auditions at Theater Row I think it's called Theater Row or Signature Theater. The one on 42nd Street.
Yeah. They're both on 42nd Street, so it could be either
Fantastic.
one. Yeah.
Okay. Across from the Chinese restaurant and like Laurie Beachman, whatever one is on that side of the street.
Okay. I'm trying to think. I'm not sure.
It might be Sig Theater.
Yeah.
So whatever. I went and the auditions were held in these theaters, like the smaller theaters. So now I didn't have to dance because obviously I did the dance lab. Sergio knows I can dance. But they had to harmonize me and like sing me through all the stuff, which was wild.
Well, it's funny because Tommy was saying that the reason he didn't get it was because of exactly that. Was because of the harmonies, because it was a vocal thing.
Yeah. And the boys, it was a 4-part harmony. They're difficult. And you had to be a triple threat as the guys. Had to. Like there's no.
I was gonna say even Phil was saying when he swung the show in Paper Mill, he was doing. Yeah. He
was practicing more vocal stuff than dance
anything
stuff.
else.
Yeah. So going in, they like sent you, and like the girls, there's only 3 of us, so it's a 3-part harmony, and you have to hold your harmony. Like there's no questions about it.
Right.
So luckily, I love an alto harmony, which most people don't love, but I love.
Yeah.
And the music director knew that. The music supervisor, Ron, and he was really sweet about it. So he was like, come in early. I'm going to sing you through the harmonies because I know you're panicking over them because you think you can't sing, but you can. And we're going to sing through each harmony. And then when you get on stage, I will we'll sing the one that you feel the most confident with. And I was like, that never happens. I was like, okay, thank you. A big boost of confidence because I'm like, okay, now I have multiple people like kind of rooting for me and being in my corner that like you could tell they want me to get this. So if I don't get it, it's truly on me and like no one else because you could tell they're really pulling for me.
Sure.
And so I went in and I sang the alto and the middle harmony because they already knew at the time the girl who was going to be doing the soprano harmony. Okay. And I felt really good about it. I came home for a day. I was like rejuvenized. I was like, great, I get to see my family. I did the audition. It is what it is. Let me go back to tour. And then that next day, my friend Cameron was like, do you want to go? I was in Dallas. And he's like, do you want to go to the state fair? And I was like, sure, let's go to the state fair. And right before we left to go to the state fair, he was in the shower and he heard me on the phone and he comes running out and because he heard me yell because I booked.
You booked it.
The Paper Mill. Yeah. Which I was like, it was again like a full circle moment. Like it's the theater that I absolutely love and had already done 4 shows at. It's like I really want to go back. So then I luckily got to leave. Matilda, the producers were like, you can go and go do Bronx Tale because they knew it had a life after it.
Of course.
Well,
so it was kind of built up right to be this big, huge show. DeNiro was a part of it, and Chaz and all that. Like it was built up to be a sensation, which it was. I mean, it succeeded in that. It was a huge show. So tell me about the Paper Mill production versus the Broadway production, and in talking about like out of town tryouts and like what the biggest difference. Well, let me ask you this: when you booked it, what was your track?
I call her Blue Caprice.
Blue Caprice, yeah. But were you also dance captain?
So they weren't blue at Paper Mill; they were gray. But she is now Blue Caprice.
She is, yeah.
And her name is Annette.
Yes, I remember that.
Because Chaz had a friend, Annette, who was really small, and they called her Annette Stand in a Hole. So he essentially gave everyone a name that resembled someone from his neighborhood, which was kind of cool. So I resembled this girl,
really
Annette.
Cool.
Yeah. One of the other girls was JoAnn. Like he just like would pull them out. Yeah.
Were you dance captain?
I was, but I wasn't during the first probably like week of rehearsal. It was this other girl, but at the same time that she booked Paper Mill's Bronx Tale, she also booked Waitress Broadway as her Broadway debut. So when she knew she'd be doing double duty, essentially, she told Sergio like, look, thank you, but I don't think I could live up to how I know you want your dance captain to be. And like literally she told him that, and then within 2 seconds he's like, Brittany, can I see you? And I was like, oh my gosh, Sergio wants to talk to me. I was like, yeah. Man. And he's like, how do you feel about dance captaining? I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Are you asking? I feel good. You know what I mean? It's like, what am I supposed to say?
Right.
And so that, and like the associate in the background was like,
okay,
that sounds great. I was like, but I could still stay in the ensemble, right? And he was like, yeah.
Of course.
But most dance captains are the swings or offstage swing. You know what I mean? So they're not usually on stage.
Right.
And I loved what I was doing. I was like, I could still do what I'm doing, right? Like I had the dance feature in the opening number. Like it just like really felt like it was meant for me.
Yeah.
That part.
Had you ever dance captain before?
Before that, did I dance captain? Yeah, I did at Paper Mill, actually.
Okay.
So this is also really great with Mark. So I booked High School Musical at Paper Mill, and then I got the swing at Hairspray as a non-ec. All their swings are non-equity.
All their swings are non-ec, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was really upset. I was like, I just did the ensemble track in High School Musical. This is the next season. Like, why would you make me a swing? And he just looked at me and he goes, you'll thank me. And I was like, okay, no, I won't. No one wants to be the swing. Like, who wants to be the swing? But to be honest, that is the reason why my career has been the way it has been, because of having that swing credit at Paper Mill Playhouse. Yeah. And Mark was a swing most of his Broadway career.
I was going to say,
so he literally was like, just trust me, you will thank me. And every time I book a show, I text him and I'm like, I'm pulling in my thank you. Like, I'm letting you know, thank you again, Mark, because I'm doing this. Like, I'm called in because of this, and I'm called in, and it all comes back to the swing, being the swing for Hairspray at Paper Mill.
Wow, that's incredible.
So I got to stay in my ensemble track though.
Which is that's a big important thing. What would you say was the biggest difference from being in Paper Mill to Broadway? I mean, was that confession number was cut before Paper Mill? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. But to be honest, we had a lot of changes on Broadway as well. Like, we really took previews, and like some days you'd come in and one number would be completely cut, and then like 3 days later that same number that was cut was back, and you're like,
really?
Wait, I have to remember
Do you
that.
Remember a number like that where that happened? I know Bronx Tale really well. I love Bronx Tale.
What was like really? Some of them were like really set, like the renditions also of the numbers too. It's like you would rehearse one during the day, but do the old one for the show at night, and then the next day implement the one you just learned the day before.
My goodness.
So it's kind of like your brain is all over the place. Yeah. Same with like lines, like the actors, like the leads. I always say like I don't need to do it. Sure. It's a lot of stress, but then everyone's like, but you swing, and that's like even. I was like, no. Speaking lines. But it's like their stuff was also, because like one word could be flipped, but that one word could have such a different meaning to what the line take is.
Right.
And Jerry Zaks was such a stickler on that, which made you appreciate and like go home and do your homework. Like, you finish your preview at 11 p.m. and you're back in rehearsal the next day, but all night you're studying so that you come in the next day and you're not the person that anyone's gonna be mad at because you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, right.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and I think just my responsibility for actually both, like Paper Mill, our young C that was the alternate went on kind of right away without any rehearsal. So being the person that had to like kind of talk him through the whole show, his whole show, which is the Act 1, half of Act 1.
Yeah.
But talk him through a lot of it. And then him being a child, like he truly was 10, 11. You know what I mean?
At the time?
His name was Vincenzo.
Oh.
So Italian.
Oh, yeah.
Now he's like a big puppeteer. He like works for Sesame Street and stuff and does a bunch of stuff. Yeah, he's really cool. Still in theater, but...
What would you say as dance captain were like, because you like got yourself into that role, but it became like, I mean, I imagine it was like a big thing, right? I mean,
totally.
In terms of like responsibility.
Yeah. And Mark Kimmelman, the associate, was so great at being transparent with me and always having me at their table. Like always bringing me with him and Sergio everywhere so that I sort of was picking up on everything that they were doing. Yeah. So they were a really good team to learn from because Sergio wants you as invested and like in the know, which is how it transpired that I ended up helping set the first national and set the second national completely myself.
Right.
Because I truly did know the ins and outs of everything, where I was able to talk to production, I was able to talk to the lighting and talk to the crew backstage and like know what I was talking about because I heard Sergio and Mark doing that all the time. Yeah. And with the Broadway show, like press events and all these things, like I essentially ran all the auditions. I ran rehearsals. Like I did everything.
Oh my gosh.
To then have Sergio and Mark come in to be like, yeah, that looks good. Or like, I want to switch this up or do this. But I always did things like the preliminary aspects of it.
Wow.
Or Sergio would be like, I want this to happen. Like, make it happen. You're like, okay, great.
Talk to me about booking Broadway. That like, talk to me about when you booked Broadway. You knew like, oh my gosh, I'm going to making Broadway debut. Like, how did you even...
I was in rehearsal for West Side Story at Paper Mill Playhouse.
Oh, wow.
This whole thing is like a cue to us.
It really is like a little... We should put it on the bottom or something, see if they can advertise the episode. Yeah.
So I was rehearsing West Side, and it was I don't know if we were doing a run or something, and I, again, saw my phone pop up, and it was my agent, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go next door. Yeah. So we were at New 42, and I went into the empty studio.
So you guys didn't know that Bronx Tale was transferring then when you guys were doing Paper Mill?
We had an idea, but they only took half the cast.
Yeah.
They did not take everyone, so you didn't know if you'd be moving with it or not. Truly,
right.
Equity, non-equity, it did not matter. So you really, kind of felt like you were auditioning all the time because you really wanted to make that next step as well. And so it was, I was rehearsing for West Side Story, and it wasn't a scene that the Jets were in, and so I was next door. I got the call, and then I immediately, I think I FaceTimed my mom and dad. Or no, I FaceTimed my mom. She was home. My dad was at work. Called my dad because he had an Android. Didn't have FaceTime. And WhatsApp wasn't a thing. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So did that. I was calling everyone, and then I ran into the room, and Mark was our director. So I ran and I was like, Mark, I did it. We're going to Broadway. We're going, like, where? Everything was where, because I did not get there by myself. Even all my best friends, like when they came to the show, like anything they posted, it's like, we're on Broadway. And it's like, like everyone has contributed to where I am. And so it was and of course it's like, I'm with Paper Mill is my family. So I was able to tell them as if I was telling my family in person. Which was really fun. Sweet. And then immediately after that rehearsal, I knew what theater I was going to be in, and it was black. So I ran. I'm literally in and I happen to be wearing a shirt that's like "Live the dreams you've always dreamed" or something. I can't remember specifically what it was. But I ran there, took a picture underneath the marquee that was black and didn't have any show in it. And then when I was able to tell all of my friends, I sent that picture to everyone, and I was like, we're all gonna be on Broadway.
Oh, that's so cool.
It was really cool. Yeah, and
really
it was
cool.
a great show to make my debut with, because Chaz truly treats everyone like they are family.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, so we had
And it
Sunday
showed.
dinner at Chaz's. It really felt like home, in the show that I was meant to do.
It showed. I mean, I met you having seen Bronx Tale.
I think it took all everyone backstage, right?
Yes,
Your whole family.
yes. Well, I came the first time. I came the first time on a date.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember telling Ro, I was like, we're going on this date, and she was like, ask Brittany if she, and I was like, I don't know Brittany, but I knew Jess.
I take everyone back.
That was very sweet of you.
Which was also the joke of A Bronx Tale, because the doorman was always like, Brittany's always got someone here, and I was like, no, I actually don't have anyone tonight, but I guarantee you I'll find someone at the stage door that I'll bring backstage. And I did. If there was someone there who truly was in love with what we just did and the show and whatever, and I connected with them, I was like, do you want to come backstage?
Yeah.
And they were like, what? I was that girl, because that's always how I when I would go in stage door, which I didn't honestly know of until I was older, but that's how majority of the performers I felt treated and really cared. Yeah. And I was like, I will always be that person who, if I can and I'm able to take you back, I can spend the extra 10 minutes,
sweet.
Because who knows how much it's going to change.
Well, it was
life,
a huge thing.
I mean?
It was great for the date, and we're going backstage. Not only are we seeing Bronx Tale, we're also going backstage. It was awesome. It was my first time backstage at a Broadway theater, and it was
small, right? You don't think it's that small?
No, you don't think it's that small. But also, you explained that house. It was at the Long Acre, and that house was even smaller. Wasn't originally meant to house musicals, although it's housed so many big musicals now. So that was really, really special, and I'm still very grateful for that, because that's a I'll never forget kind of thing. So talk to me about Bronx Tale. You were in Bronx Tale the whole run, and it was a year and a half, 2 years.
2 years.
2 years. That's pretty
Huge.
rare.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen very often. And the show was
was
also great. I love that show. I
know.
love that show.
It was my baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Once I was the dance captain of it, I was like, this is my show.
Yeah.
I put close to 30 plus people into the show. I rehearsed everyone. I put Chaz into the show. You know what I mean? I had all of these special moments.
Is that right? Chaz was in the show at one point?
Sunny. Yep.
What? No.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I do
end.
remember that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wait, for how long? How?
He did it for a 6-week stint.
Nice.
Nothing
Wow.
crazy. 5 weeks. Yeah.
Oh wow. That is so cool.
Yeah, and he swore he never was gonna do it, and then all of a sudden they're like, "You have rehearsal with Chaz tomorrow." I'm like, "Of course I do."
How was he with it? Was he
great? But what's so hard with him, because it started as a one-man show.
Yes.
He plays every character in the one-man show. So watching him when we were on stage, he knows all of the lines. Of course, he wrote it.
Yeah.
And it's his life playing out. But then he, when it was his turn to do it, he would get mixed up on is this the line from the one-man show? Is this the line from the movie? Is this the line from now the musical? So at certain points, we put an in-ear in him.
Okay.
So that if it looked like he was gonna you never want someone going out there who was
And
nervous
not
to do it to
feeling-
begin with, and
Right.
not feel confident at all, and because he has such obviously an iconic like being with the whole premise of it all, like you did not want Chaz going out there feeling silly, you know what I mean? And so any way that we could help him out, because like Nikki Machiavelli is a hard song. There's just a lot of names and lines, and like the names in the one-man show are different than the names in the musical. Some of them, the storefront names, some of them had to change. Like there's all logistic, like legality things that happen and whatnot. So it was just more for like a comfortability thing.
Yes,
like great ones too. That's like a long song that has so many moving parts to it that if you start singing verse 3 as verse 1, you're like, this song is gonna make no sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he was so great. I mean, he was at the theater every day, so it wasn't weird that he was now in the show with us because he was hanging out with us all the time anyway.
Oh, that's awesome. Let's talk about the national tour that came next. So you said you were in charge of. You weren't in it. You weren't dance captain yet, but what was your title on it?
So for the first national tour, which is the Equity Tour, I was listed as the assistant choreographer.
Okay.
Because Mark was still a part of it and setting that tour, and Sergio was there. So you had the choreographer, the associate, and then I was listed as the assistant.
Yeah.
And then for the second national tour, which was when it turned non-equity, my title was the restager choreographer.
Okay.
So I set the whole tour with someone who I brought in as my assistant.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool.
It was kind of wild.
I was gonna say like you're now in charge of
everything,
but nothing changed per se. Or
not from the first tour, no.
Okay.
But from Broadway, yes.
How long do these tours go?
It depends. So the first tour went for close to 2 years.
Really?
And then the second national got stopped from COVID.
Okay.
But it still had cities left.
Okay.
So that one stopped prematurely.
Wow, I don't think I realized that it went that long. That's kind of amazing how long of a life Bronx Tale had. And it still has, because now it's licensed and being done all over the country, which is amazing.
It's kind of crazy.
Before we leave Bronx Tale, I want to talk a little bit about like these people. I want to talk about DeNiro. I want to talk about like, we talked about Chaz, but I want to talk about Sergio and Alan Menken. Like what was that? How hands-on were they, particularly like DeNiro and Alan Menken? And I guess like it's a silly cliche question, but what were they like? What were they like? You know.
So DeNiro, quiet guy.
He was co-directing, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he'll say it too. Jerry was the helm of. It was his forte. DeNiro knew that. DeNiro had a lot of input with the fight scenes specifically. He was really hands-on, like up hitting the guys. You know what I mean? Like up in the room with stuff like that. Wow. But he was really great about letting Jerry take the lead theatrically with it. He was at every rehearsal. Wow. DeNiro, all of tech, opening. Wow. He would come in sporadically to check out the show and make sure it still was like
in shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, quiet. Unless really spoken to, but he knew exactly who everyone was, which was really important. So like he would address people by name and not have to be like, so and so, who's that? You know what I mean? Like he did take a point to really try and get to know everyone, which was really nice. And when he would take as many pictures as you want. Like everyone there was just so great. Chaz would take any picture you wanted. DeNiro, any picture you wanted.
That's very sweet.
Because he's like, I mean, we're all going, and you're like, this is Robert DeNiro.
Yeah,
this is Chaz Palminteri. Are you kidding me? And everyone was so down to earth. Yeah. Alan was in there all the time.
Was he?
Yeah. There was a lot of things that would shift. Same with Glenn Slater, who wrote all the lyrics.
Yes.
Like, it was a lot of because you're building a musical, even from Paper Mill. Like there was stuff when they'd see it and come back and watch it and be like, that just doesn't feel like it, or like I feel like this could work better, or let's put this back in and take that out, or so with all the adjustments and stuff, they were very, very hands-on.
I think it's, for what it's worth, it's a really tight show too. I mean, like I think that everything is very relevant.
Yes,
all
which
the
is a big Jerry and Sergio thing. Yeah. Like the second they feel themselves like not like sitting upright and they start to slouch, it's like, nope, that's out. Like that's too long. Or
right.
So they were a really good team about editing.
Yeah.
And Chaz just wanted to keep putting more and more and more in. So it was one of those where like Chaz.
It's also so different than any Menken piece. I mean, like I guess the closest thing was Little Shop, but otherwise, like even
that's what a lot of people reference to it, but it's still not.
It's still very different because it's specific in its own style.
Correct, yeah.
And breadth. I mean, Webster Avenue. I don't know if I've ever heard anything that Alan Menken's written
cool,
that's like that.
Yeah.
You know, like that whole stomp number is awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
And building that on its feet was really, really interesting too.
With Ariana too. I'm just. That's right. That was Ariana's principal debut.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. Awesome. So talk to me about this. So this is such a, I say this a lot, but I think for a lot of people my age, especially those who haven't worked on Broadway yet, are like, Broadway has the answers. I know I feel this way a little bit. I'll be honest with you. Where you're like, oh, Broadway will cure everything for me. And then once you book Broadway, where do you don't even consider necessarily what happens after your first Broadway show. But I think that's something that I think it's like I'll cross that bridge when I get there, or I'll just book Broadway and then I'll continue booking Broadway.
You think it's that easy?
But talk to me a little bit how to proceed post Broadway. After the show closed, I mean, you have these tours, but still, like, where do you go? Do you just go back to hitting the pavement? Do you just
essentially, right? Yeah. You like to think that you have formed relationships with these teams. That if they're on another project of some sort, that they'll remember you. Or if you go in the room, they're like, "Oh yeah, I loved working with her or him." You know what I mean? And sometimes the projects that they have next just don't work for what you are as a performer. You know what I mean? So that was kind of my issue a little bit. After leaving A Bronx Tale, like a bunch of the stuff Sergio did post just wasn't right for me. And so it's like I made that like connection and close relationship with him because I was the dance captain and always talking to him about the show or him coming to see it. But nothing was really lining up. Like the next thing I did with him was Annie Live, which was years down the road. And that too, it's like I sent in an audition tape on my honeymoon. You know what I mean? Like I didn't just book that because did A Bronx Tale.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think subsequently he did Summer.
Summer. Yeah, there was like a Temptations, like things that, or Ain't Too Proud, like those. I just can't be in. You know what I mean? Like it's not my wheelhouse.
Days of Wine and Roses. He did that too. He did Days of Wine and Roses, so now he's doing Real Women. Yeah.
It just none of them really worked out, and it was sad because I really do adore him and his whole process and working for him, and like I had a really great relationship and time with him doing Bronx Tale. So I was like hoping, I was like, oh, maybe the next one, and then they just haven't lined up. Even now, like Real Women Have Curves, which is coming out, it's like. Nah, it's not for me. You know what I mean?
They just posted all the promotional stuff this morning, and it looks like so fun.
Yeah. So Annie was just a really nice time to reconnect and get to do that with him, and it was a whole different wheelhouse because now he's seeing me. I mean, I was only 17 in A Bronx Tale, but seeing me, I doubled as an orphan and in the adult ensemble as well. I was in rehearsal all the time because I was with the kids, and then I was with the adults. Yeah.
Wow. So talk to me about then how long was it before? Because the next show you did was the Prom.
Right.
And that was still pre-pandemic. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Because the Prom wasn't around.
Bronx Tale closed in August. Yeah. Prom essentially moved into our theater.
Prom was the next show that came in.
Yeah. Which of course, as all the Bronx people were like, oh, we can't stand Prom. I'm not going to see that show. Like,
sure.
Silly. And then literally, I got an appointment, and they're like, hey, like we, one of the girls is moving on to do Harry Potter. Can you come in for us? I had been in at that point for Mean Girls a lot.
Okay.
And so I knew of Casey, and like he knew of me, and I knew the music director Meg, and their dance captain at Prom, Jack. I was very friendly with. We did West Side at Paper Mill, so he's like, I think you'd be a good fit.
Jack Sipple? Yeah, Jack's gonna come on too. Fun. Yeah.
So he's like, I think you would be a good fit. Like I don't really know what they're looking for, but if you like want to come in for it, and I was like, great. So that audition happened the day after the Tony Awards that year.
Okay.
And showing up at the audition, I only had to sing. I didn't have to dance.
But was this the Prom? It was already.
The Prom opened that fall.
Okay.
So like Bronx
Tale
closed in August.
But when you were in for it, it was already on, or
it was already on. It was essentially nearing its end.
Okay.
So they had already been going since the fall into the spring.
Had you seen it?
No, because I was the old school tenor. I'm like, nope, not going, not doing it. You know what I mean? Like I was mad. That was my. I was in the Broadway show, and now it's right.
How were you going to see that?
So then I get this appointment, and I'm like, I know nothing about the show. I have to go. I have to go see it. And then I saw it, and I was like, this show is really great.
Yeah, it's epic.
It needs to be on Broadway. Did it need to be at the Long Acre?
Sure.
No, but I'm just kidding. But it
was.
I was like, this is a really good show and needs to be heard. So I was actually really happy I went and saw it.
Yeah,
and then so when I went, I just had to sing.
And like, I saw that show the day before Thanksgiving. I had like a rough semester, and I was like, I'm gonna do a treat myself day. I went by myself the day the day before Thanksgiving, and I was like,
I know.
I thought it was so funny. I thought it was so fun.
So
and
great.
Also, when I heard that you had booked it, I was like, it's so you. It screams you in such a big, like, poppy type way that anyway, I'm sorry, continue.
So I went and auditioned the day after the Tony Awards, and it ended up being me and one other girl. Didn't know. So she went first, and now I sing a song that no one knows. It's literally my go-to musical theater song. You ask anyone, they're like, "Oh, Brittany, she sings Until Now." Like, it's just known.
Until Now. Where's it from?
Then this is the whole thing. Couldn't tell you where it's from. Couldn't tell you who wrote it. I literally learned it in my first voice lesson ever. Oh. And since that voice teacher had passed away, so it's not even like I can ask him where he got it from. No idea. If you see my sheet music, it's like yellow. Like, I actually should just recopy it because it's so funny. It's the song I have booked majority of my shows with.
Incredible. All you need is one.
That's it. So truly. So you go. I went in, or the girl went into the room ahead of me, and I hear the beginning notes, and I'm like, that is my song. No one sings this song. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's two of us and we're both singing the same song. That's
crazy.
She sang it more like swing jazzy, which you can. Yeah. Like I told you, I make this work for any genre. And I did it my like belty, cutesy, how I normally would do it. And so as she left, I literally texted my mom. I was like, this girl is singing the same song as me. She's like, Brittany, no way. I was like, oh no, it's my song. Like, she is singing Until Now. Oh man. So I went in, I did the song. Literally, my song is 30 seconds, and it was like, okay, you sang, thanks, bye. I'm like, okay, I guess that's it. Yeah. And then I was, this is so funny, I was rehearsing Beauty and the Beast at Paper Mill Playhouse, and I booked Prom while I was at understudy rehearsal running.
That's so funny.
Their understudy rehearsal. We were on a break, like a 10-minute break. My agent called, and she started playing the soundtrack. And she's like, are you ready to go to Prom? And I was like, are you kidding? So luckily we were nearing the end of our run with Beauty and the Beast that it didn't overlap at all. Okay. I then started Prom right after it. But so I booked Prom, and then a few days later,
you're a Longacre girly. You
only Longacre, and the crew there I love them. Yeah, love them. So it was like going back home. But in the meantime, so I booked the show. I think on like the 14th of June, I want to say. Oh. My dad passed away June 19th. So it's like he knew I was doing this show, but obviously never got to see it. And I started rehearsals after he had passed. But going into that building and the show that it was so fun. Everyone was so welcoming. I don't know if they knew or didn't know my situation. I learned the show in like 2 days because all of a sudden everyone got this like stomach bug, and I was like thrown on early. It was the big blackout of Broadway that happened that same day I made my debut in Prom. Like, there was this big blackout.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I do remember that.
So we did the matinee, and then there was no evening
half the theaters,
show.
Half the theaters blocked out.
The grids just, like, went out.
Yeah, that's right.
So it was wild. It's like my now husband came for the matinee. My mom was coming for the night show. She was out shopping, and she's like, I don't think I can make it for the matinee. And I was like, it's fine. I'm on tonight. Same thing. Like, don't worry about it. And I wasn't a swing. I was an ensemble track. But because I had swung, like, Jack was literally like, I need you to do all of these extra bits. Like, can you just learn them? And I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? Wow. Whatever. I learned the show in 2 days. Like, let's just go for it.
That's crazy.
So it was a show that going in was so fun and uplifting that it sort of distracted me from all the, like, horrible stuff that was going on at the time. Sure. And I think it was such a good show that my family, obviously, they don't miss anything. Did they want to sit in a Broadway show? Probably not, but they were not going to miss me doing a show. Yeah. But, like, if you're going to see a show, that's the show you want to see. Like, everyone left being like, I never would have seen this if you weren't in it, and I am so glad I saw it. Yeah. And it's almost everyone's favorite show that I've done, which is wild. Because, I mean, Bronx Tale will always be, I think, everyone's number one. But Prom was, like, a really close second. And even doing it, I only did it for 11 weeks because then they got their closing notice. So it was weird. It's like, I'm coming in this, like, happy girl, like, I'm doing Broadway show number 2, and everyone's like, we just got a notice. I'm like, but you would never know that being in the building. Everyone was so sweet. Sieber was having like parties on his island, you know what I mean? Like having a barbecue and like, it was like just like a really big family. So I've been super fortunate for both of these Broadway shows that I've done for them to truly feel like a big family. Sweet. Yeah.
Okay. So the prom arts up, that was like fall of 2019, right?
So they start, exactly.
And so then COVID hits and you were like, I'm going to get married.
Well, I was waiting for a proposal for years.
Really?
So, I would have gotten married.
You were like, Broadway's shut down, so I might as well go get married.
Where Chaz was literally like, Mike, what are we doing?
Oh, really?
Like, come on. Yeah.
That's funny.
Jokingly, but also like, he's like, don't worry, I was in the same situation. Someone had to tell me like, what are you doing, bro? Like, you gonna propose or not propose?
That's so funny.
No, but at the time when I got engaged, so I got engaged before I did Prom. I got engaged in February of 2019.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
I joined
gotcha.
Prom in June of 2019.
Okay, gotcha. And so then this is a silly question, I guess, but how did COVID upend your wedding plans then? When were you supposed to get married?
Horrible.
Were you really?
Yeah, we were supposed to get married originally in August of 2020.
Okay.
And then we ended up moving a full year. So then we didn't get married until July of 2021.
Wow.
Yeah. So at the time, like a lot of these venues were just moving people like month by month or like every 3 months, whatever. But my venue only had one date available left for 2021. And I was like, I need one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't want to just keep doing the like every few months we move it thing. And with my dad passing, we needed the extra time. In the thick of it, you're like, I just need to get married. Like, I just want to do it all. But it ended up working, honestly, in our benefit. Yeah. Yeah. So we got married.
And so I have to just mention this because what you posted was, so when you went on your honeymoon, you went to, like, it's dream place. It's like #1, and you went to Hawaii. Yes. And it was like all of the things. You were the reason why I wanted to go to Kauai, because Kauai
was my favorite island. But also, we weren't supposed to go to Hawaii.
Oh, really?
No, we were supposed to go to Bali. We were supposed to do the Maldives, Bali, and
that's like
Singapore.
The Instagram place. That's like that. If you think about it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I really tried to book it multiple times, but because of everything going on, they just weren't at the capacity to be having tourists there. Okay. And then I started thinking, like, then you start spiraling into like, okay, well, if they're not able to have like tourists, or they should be having tourists, like, what's the health concerns there? What's the hospitals like there? And then at the same time, one of my good friends, Nick Cordero, was really sick with COVID, and all of that was going on. I was like, forget it. I need somewhere within the States that like I know I can get home, or I know the hospital situation is going to be like okay or great or good or decent at least, and I'm not in some foreign country that my family can't get to me, God forbid anything were to happen. So we pivoted to Hawaii like 3 weeks before the wedding.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but I am such like a type A with planning, that I was like very on top of like hotels, where are we going, what excursion are we doing, and a girl that we did a Bronx Tale with, her husband was stationed in Hawaii at the time. So she was essentially like island hopping like 2 ahead of me. And so she'd be like, okay, I just went to Kauai. Don't do this, this, and this, but instead do this, this, and this. So I was like curating our honeymoon based on what this girl Danny was also telling me from like a local perspective. Which was the way to go. I mean, so I'm glad it inspired you to go to Hawaii, because I think it inspired a bunch of people to start going. And it's beautiful.
It looks stunning.
Really
I didn't know about Kauai at all.
And I'm kind of annoyed that I never wanted to go there so much
in the first place.
But it's like everyone does Hawaii for their honeymoon. You know, you don't want to be that person.
You're in Hawaii when you book Annie Live.
No, when I get the audition.
When you get the audition. Okay.
I'm on my honeymoon and I'm still sending in a self-tape.
Yeah, right.
My agent's like, well, Britt,
but that's always the way it goes. That's always the way it goes.
Always.
Is that you go on vacation and you're like, well, nothing's been coming. It's like a drought.
Literally, I was doing a tumbling pass in the parking lot of our hotel. Like, that's how like ridiculous this self-tape was. I'm singing in my hotel room, burnt, like trying to look like a child. You know what I mean? It was
what are you singing? For Annie Live, you're singing
Until Now.
Yeah. Oh! I didn't know if they gave you material and you were doing like Hard Knock Life in your hotel room in Hawaii.
I did have to do the opening scene as all of the or as I think they made me pick Pepper, whatever orphan they made me do.
Sure.
But who do I have to read? Mike.
Yes.
So literally, it starts off and it's like Molly going, "Mama, Mama, Mommy,"
and
to which Mike is going, he's like, Mama, Mommy. I'm like, you gotta give me a little bit more here.
So good.
I'm like, I know this is really hard to channel a 9-year-old, but like, you gotta give me just a little bit more.
Yeah, you should have tried to show him a video of you doing it.
So in all of my self-tapes, it's literally Mike being my reader for all of these little girls.
Well, you booked it, so you might as well have him as your reader. He's your permanent reader. He's your life reader.
When I booked Law and Order, Jess was my reader.
Oh, really? That's so funny.
So I was like, I guess I just need a Lucchese to be my reader.
Yeah, you should get a Lucchese to be. Okay, so tell me about Annie Live, because I saw Annie Live. I was in the audience.
In the audience?
I was in the audience. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I got like these like free ticket offer thing, and it was so cool.
It's so cool, right?
It was so cool because the whole thing was in the round.
Yes.
And so it was just dependent on what quarter of the stage you guys were filming
cool?
on. So we were like, and we were in like the quarter that saw a lot.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of it. Yeah. It was awesome.
It was awesome. It was also like kind of on the cusp of the end of COVID.
Yeah, it's like the end of 2021.
So we were like, it was like we were fully in masks all the time. We were testing every day. So there was like tons of protocol going into every rehearsal day.
Yeah.
We rehearsed where the Rockettes rehearsed. So it's like under a church on 59th Street.
Okay, yeah.
And then we moved to the lot.
It's a huge space there, though,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
it's really cool. It's multiple studios.
I was going to say, Just in Time is rehearsing there right now, and Here Lies Love rehearsed there. And
it's a really cool space. And so from there, we then moved out to the lot, which is on Long Island. And even
Which
there,
was
like,
also really cool.
yeah, and they didn't want you going home between once we got out there, so they put everyone up in a hotel there. For the fact of COVID, that like there's 2 principal understudies, but like ensemble, like we had no swings. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't anyone to cover you. So it was like internally you were a cover for someone. It wasn't like they had someone separate.
Yeah.
So they were really, really cautious about like letting us kind of be in the real world
It was
while
also,
you were doing it. Which as you're doing it, you're like, I don't want to be in the real world. Like I just want to be in my bubble.
Focus on any life. Yeah.
But
you had such a cool cast too, because it was Nicole Scherzinger and
unreal and
Titus
the sweetest and most down to earth person ever.
Yeah.
I have not one negative thing.
She
One
was
of the
also
most
great.
hardworking people I've ever met. I'm not kidding.
Really?
She was the first one in the studio every day and the last one to leave.
Oh
Yep.
wow.
Yeah.
It was her, Harry Connick Jr. And
Also, so nice.
Yeah,
Such
he
a
was.
dad. Such a dad.
Really?
Came in every morning and said hello to all the orphans, and they loved him. He's like, hey, girls. Everyone by name. Knew everyone by name. Addressed everyone by name. From, like, production to cast. He was,
he did
phenomenal.
He like, it was so sweet when we were there. He gave like this whole speech in the middle of like a commercial break as like this whole thing is running, and it was just like a thanking the audience for being there.
And that was him, like, all the time. Like,
That's
it wasn't
awesome.
a show.
That's
which was really
cool.
nice.
Megan Hilty, Titus was in it. Mackenzie Kurtz was your
Iconic.
star to be, which
Literally,
is awesome. Like,
her and I were like thick as
Really?
thieves during it. Yes. She, and again, like, I didn't know she was Anna beforehand. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what's funny? I'll tell you what. I didn't know either. I was there with my best friend, and my best friend Kirsten, and she was there. And she goes to me, "This is the girl I've been telling you about. She's amazing."
Because she only did like 3 shows as Anna before it all shut down.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, and then now I think I forget what show it was, but I was like, absolutely, I know her. Absolutely.
Yeah, she did Heart of Rock and Roll, and then she did Wicked, obviously.
Yeah. Wicked and she was just in Schmigadoon.
Oh yeah, and Schmigadoon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Iconic.
Yeah,
and
she's
so
awesome.
Again, so sweet, funny. Yeah, we got along really well.
That was so.
She was like my bestie on the show.
Were you were also dance captain on that?
So they didn't. No, they had like this girl Morgan was she was our Sergio's associate, but she was also within the in the show.
Okay.
So truly, any questions that were, if there was a dance captain, there wasn't on like TV sets. They don't have a dance captain, but it was Morgan.
Okay, gotcha,
like any question you had, you're like Morgan.
But you were swinging.
No, I was ensemble.
Oh, okay.
Orphan and in the adult ensemble.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
okay.
so they had like, I wasn't a named orphan.
Yeah.
I was like just filled the orphanage.
Well, wasn't there like this extension of Hard Knock Life,
yes,
right? Where
a whole dance break.
I was gonna say it was like this huge.
Yes.
It was
a
really
rhythm
cool.
section, which
it
was
really
cool.
Yeah. And even in NYC, there was also a tap section in there. That was really
and
awesome.
that was all like curated in the room with the performers.
Oh,
with
that's
Afra
awesome.
and Brant. Like it was all and Brant. It was like all.
Who
like,
directed
created.
it?
It was Lear.
Oh, cool.
Bissonnette, who is the artistic director of Encores now.
Yes, and Lincoln Center too. I think
Correct.
she just
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Lear and Sergio ran choreography.
It was so fun. I like loved it.
It was such a different learning experience, but I'm really, really grateful I got to do that.
And so after that, you booked Mean Girls National Tour. Is that right?
So I actually did Mean Girls before Annie Live.
Oh, you did?
I did Mean Girls pre-pandemic.
Oh, okay.
As their vacation swing for the tour.
Were you?
So
this
right
is
after
also
prom.
before the prom. Oh,
right after.
So were you doing it into COVID?
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
So I finished with prom, same team, Casey. He's like, hey, do you want to go on the road? We need a vacation swing. I was like, yeah, sure. Whatever.
Yeah.
So, because my friend Susie was the vacation swing over on Broadway.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I'll go out. I did 1 week learning a track. The next week I was that track. And then I had to go home for Jess's wedding. And I was like, I just need these personal days, and then I'll come back out and learn the rest of my tracks, whatever the case may be. And when I went home, her wedding was the last day.
You never
everything
left
happened.
it. Well, it's funny.
Never
I think
left
her wedding.
Staten again.
I think her wedding was March 20th, and so it was already like the world had already, or something like that. It was something because the world had already shut down, and it was like
she was literally the last wedding at her church, at the venue, everything.
Wow.
Last one.
Wow. That's
and so I kept
crazy.
like reaching out to like the company manager. I'm like, hey, am I supposed to like? And they just kept rebooking my flight. Like just push it. They're like, okay, you'll come this week. Now you'll come this week. Now you'll come this week. And then it got to a point where they were like, we're just not rebooking it. We'll just like see what happens, and we'll get a credit or whatever else. And then it didn't come back for a
long time, and it closed on Broadway.
Mm-hmm. During the pandemic,
Talk to me about swinging in general. I think swinging. I think swinging is like the craziest thing ever. I don't know if there's a job like it, like in any other division, in any other anything. Yeah, talk to me about the importance of swinging, but also like I guess like how do you do it? Because like the idea of it fills me with so much stress. And I think a lot of people have different tricks and things to figure out. Okay, well, this is what I tackle first, or this is what is it for you? I mean, and also you swung these like major 22 tracks, Matilda, and Vacation Swing for Mean Girls, and all this stuff. Especially with the Vacation Swing, because you're not there all the time.
Right. So with the Vacation Swing, you like. In the beginning, when you don't know the tracks, you go in the week before, you learn that track that you're going to do the following week. So that one, it's kind of actually an easier way to get into the show than just being a regular swing. Yeah. With Mean Girls, I went from what they called a Vacation Swing, then I went into the new title, which was a COVID Swing. So then when I came back post-pandemic to the tour, I was their COVID Swing.
Okay, got it.
So I was only supposed to be there for a few months, and then I was supposed to go back home.
Okay.
And then they were like, wait, do you want to be this ensemble track? And then I stayed again. So I just kept extending my time with Mean Girls, essentially. Yeah. And then I came home in the middle of that to do Sound of Music at Paper Mill.
Yes.
I ended up getting pregnant. Went back out on Mean Girls till I was like 5 months pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
So I did Mean Girls till I was like 5.5 months pregnant.
That is so crazy. So talk to me about where you're swinging. What's the first thing you do as a swing?
I first see who covers the most people. That's usually my thing, and that's the track I learned first, because inevitably they would be the first people to jump into their understudy role.
Yes.
So I sort of structure my learning
I guess I didn't even think about that.
That's
way.
So
smart, yeah.
Some shows, they tell you these are your first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Like Hamilton, I think they give you, like, this is your first, this is your second, your third. Like, they give you your list. Yeah. But any show I've gone into, it's sort of like a, who do you want to learn? You know what I mean? Right. And so that's how I have learned to structure it, is like the person in the ensemble who seems to have the most responsibility outside of their ensemble track is who I learn first. And then I trickle it down from there. As time goes on, you start to see who calls out the most, and then you start pivoting to like, I should learn you next because you're going to be out the most. You know what I mean? Or like, oh, you overheard so-and-so has this injury. Okay, you're probably going to be out too. So it's all like ears being everywhere, and then kind of structuring your list from there, at least in my experience.
How do you, a lot of it from what I get, particularly if you're not a swing in an original show, is you doing your own homework.
100%. Yeah. You are in the rehearsal space. I'm a big visual learner. So I am the first person to be like, does anyone mind if I'm videoing? Like, I need to see it, and then I go home and I study. Put it on like my big screen TV, and like, if I'm studying this girl today, I'm studying this girl all day. Yeah. Even my husband will say, like, he's watched me swing majority of these shows, and he's like, you can't talk to her. Like, she is in like tunnel vision, and like, if this is what she's doing, this is what she's doing. Yeah. Yeah, and then I do like the whole tracking sheet. Like, I write out the stuff. I also learn by writing. Okay. I think that's like just like
writing it out.
A Catholic school thing. Like, you always were memorizing, and you had to write everything like 10 times each. Like, I write everything. Yeah. And then like the last thing I'll do is oh my gosh, what do you call them? No, I can't think of it. But
what is it?
But we're like stage right.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I'm like literally blanking.
No.
It's essentially like where everyone goes on the stage. Why can't I think of what
tracking?
It is? Yes, but no. There's a name for it.
Okay. They're screaming. They're screaming. If we remember, we'll just put it on the bottom, like as a word here.
Oh my gosh. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of my last thing, clearly, because I don't use it. So let's just go with that. Right. And it's essentially like the Bible. Like usually all the dance captains will make it, and then like that gets passed down from company to company, and like that's kind of how everyone sees the show, is through this book. This
mystery thing. Yeah.
So that's kind of clearly my last thing. But I've watched, interesting enough, on Bronx Tale, one of our old, like our wise guy swings, Charlie, was a swing years ago. Like, he was like, obviously he was like my dad's age, like in his 40s. I'm gonna age him. 40s or 50s? 50s, you want to say?
Sure.
Maybe 40s. But no, he's definitely was in his 50s. But he used like a tape recorder and would go around talking everyone's track and being like, okay, Rudy the voice steps to the right, holds out his left hand on this lyric. Like, he was doing everything to listen back to it. Yeah. I never learned that way. Like, I had to watch it on a video or something. Yeah, which is really, really...
It's just a way people
Charts.
learn.
Charts. They're charts.
Charts. That's what we should call the episode.
Charts. Charts. The charts.
Interesting. Yes, I wouldn't.
That's where everyone goes.
Yeah.
It's like, everyone's like a little circle or an X, and they have like your name over it, and like It just shows like the different transition patterns and stuff.
Yeah.
So that if you're swiping now on like an iPad, you're swiping through, you see if person is on like stage left 2 and they're moving to stage right 6, like their trajectory of how they got there.
Oh my gosh.
Charts. They're called
Yeah,
charts.
that is so crazy. But like I said, a lot of this you're doing on your own.
Correct. You know who's a whiz at that? Phil Colgan.
He is.
Like when and this is horrible as a friend probably, but when I booked Bronx Tale Broadway, he didn't move with the company.
Yes, he talked about that.
And I was panicking because I relied on him a lot as dance captain in Paper Mill for his charts. Because I'm like, if Sergio asked for them, I literally have to be like, Phil. Like, he was the person that I knew because he's so type A too.
Yeah.
And that I trusted. So when I booked Bronx, I literally called him and I was like, this is so crappy as a person, but I really need help setting up stage right for the Broadway version of A Bronx Tale. And of course, Phil was like, absolutely, like, come over. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't see it that way at all, but in my head, I'm like, this is
that was like an interestingly good impression. Like there was something about that like right didn't know like kind of resonated with you. That shit.
Phil married my husband and I.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet. He's a sweetheart, and we had such a great time with him on the pod. He was like awesome.
But he is. Anytime I think of stage right, I have a question. I always will call. I'm like, okay, Phil. I usually call him Mr. Gallatin. I'm like, hey Gallatin, what do I have to do here? Why isn't this working?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that.
Charts.
I love that. Okay, so I want to talk. You did one of the most iconic New York things to possibly do. You know what I'm talking about already, I think. Do you?
I don't know.
You are a dead body in Law & Order SVU. It is.
Yes.
It's like I think it's everyone's dream in a way. It's
so
like,
everyone like Sieber always jokes. He's like, you haven't made it in the industry unless you've been on Law & Order.
Yeah, oh, that's for sure. But it's not only just being on Law & Order. You were a dead body on Law & Order.
Body.
You were. I mean, like, okay, well, you know what? Talk about it, and then I'll talk about my experience watching it.
Okay.
Because
so that was another like pandemic kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like they just started filming. I got this audition, and it was for someone who looked like an exchange student from Milan, Italy.
Okay.
Agent's like, I don't know, you could do this. Like,
That's a compliment. That's a
thank
huge
you so much.
compliment. Yeah.
And I was like, well, do I need an accent? I'm
Yeah.
like, because I have a New York one, but like I do not have an Italian accent.
Yeah, right.
And he's like, no. Like I don't even think it's a speaking role, to be honest. And I was like, great. So he's like, let me just send you over the material and I'll see what they really need. He's like, it's probably just going to be like a slate, body shot, and like that's kind of it. No, it's like 3 scenes. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I'm like, he literally told me that it was going to be a non-speaking role.
Yeah.
So whatever, you do. So I had to act out the scenes of me being like the scene of me being murdered and like pre what happened to me getting murdered. And so I'm having the scene with the person who ends up murdering me and like what would have happened.
Were the scenes like, oh, we were thinking about doing this, but then we cut it? Or was it like a...
Okay, so I asked this too when we got there because then I'm like, then you have all these lineup dates for filming.
Yeah.
And I was like, so when do I do any of these scenes that I like takes for?
Yeah.
And the director's like, we really use those scenes when we don't have enough of the episode. So if our episode already hits 40 minutes or whatever it is, he's like, we don't need those scenes.
They're filler.
He's like, right. He's like, however, if we don't hit that by a certain point, we use those scenes to like fill and show how you got murdered.
So did you film those?
No.
Okay.
Because by the time I came in, they've already filmed majority of the episode.
Okay.
And they didn't need to.
Okay.
So I was like, great. So then I just had to do the scene where I was in a freezer, in a hockey bag, and on the table for the autopsy.
That's freaky.
Wild.
But also it's so I went back and rewatched the episode. I'm a big SVU geek. Like I love SVU. I've been watching SVU every week since before I was born. But I remember, I don't remember if I knew that you were going to be on it or not. I just remember seeing you in it. And at first I did not find it funny. I was like,
no, neither did my family. Everyone literally was watching like this.
It was so jarring.
And I think because it was close to when my dad passed away, like just the thought of me being on there. So I kept the whole episode being like, I'm like, it's not real, guys. It's not real. It's not real. Or I tried showing them pictures beforehand because obviously I couldn't post them. But I was like, this is what I'm going to look like so that you're not like shocked to see me because it is kind of jarring. Even when they would show me the like the spin around the screen of it, I'm like, oh, that's what I look like?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's
like
not
you
even...
never think you will see what you look like dead.
Oh,
right?
no. Yeah, no. And also, like, you're talking about it too casually for me right
now.
I know. Because the thing about it was that you're like, it's just, whatever. I'm not going to go into detail, but like the point is you're in this freezer. You're frozen in the freezer. You've been in there for a while. And it was like, I'm watching it and I was like, oh, that looks like it's just jarring.
And like getting the makeup on for it was probably the like craziest.
Yeah, how long was that?
Oh, you're there for a long time.
Yeah, for hours.
But the guy that's been doing it, his name's Mike, and he has been doing it since the get-go, like since the beginning. So he timely wise is like super efficient.
Yeah.
But then like, because if you see the episode, like the nails that they put on me were like peeled up and like yeah, it is kind of gross. But so like all that stuff goes on, and then like I'm having to walk around like this. You know what I mean? Like you can't do anything. My lips were like sealed shut, so I was like,
well, good for COVID, I guess. That
was
it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's like little things where like they needed to take a picture of me at one point, so then they're like, come to this balcony and we'll take this picture, and like, so seeing how the whole thing kind of filmed for me and then seeing it as the actual episode was really cool, because I was like, oh wait, that's how they did that? Like, I didn't think that's how it would go. Or and then like I read obviously the script, but then your episode doesn't air for so long that when it comes back out, I was like, oh my god, that's right, he's the one who murdered me. Like, I didn't even remember.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet him?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. They had us all, because it was COVID also, everyone was in their own dressing room.
Okay.
Yeah, but like in passing, or he's like, hey, I'm the one that kills you.
Yeah,
like, it was
put
like
you in the freezer. That's wild. It was fun. That's very cool.
I think Jelani was also in my episode. I think he was one of the people.
Oh, really? Jelani who?
Remy.
Oh, Jelani Remy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so cool. I just saw him in Disney.
Yeah,
actually.
Did you?
Yeah, I was just in Disney, and he was one of the Disney and Broadway performers. That's so funny.
It is cool.
Yeah.
It was a really, really fun experience, and everyone was like, again, it's like I had a really good experience.
Yeah.
And it shoots right in Chelsea.
Yeah, right.
It's like wild. Well, I'm like, I pass this building all the time. I never knew it was in here.
I've talked about it before on the pod, but Angel was Olivia's niece at one point. She did like this whole arc where she was thinking they were gonna adopt her, and it was like it was a whole thing. And then she was not, it's such a she was not 10 months. I just did a bunch of research just on these pictures. She was not 10 months. She was a year and a half. Okay.
But
she was
playing 10 months.
Yes, but she was playing 10 months. She looks young for her age.
Yeah.
But what was funny is that then afterward, Angel did like background work on one of the episodes and told Mariska about it. She was like, "Oh, I was your niece."
Yeah.
This is like probably 10 years later.
Wow.
And because they never finished this plot line or whatever, it was like her brother's kids. And 2 weeks later, 2 episodes or 3 episodes following, her brother comes back for the first time since that episode, and Angel was black now. I mean, that was different because it was like a picture of it. They showed a picture of it. It was just a picture, and they showed a picture of Angel, and I was like, she's black now.
Well, that's what they would do, and it's crazy. Like, I had on like a blue sweater, or I don't even know what it is in the episode, if it's red or blue, whatever one color. I think I had on red, and then when I showed it, it was blue, and I was like, I swore they put me in red, but okay.
It must have been.
And like
altered.
right, and it has to. It's wild. The things that they can do.
But yeah, that was funny.
So funny. But the residual check is nice.
I was gonna say, and it was probably just a stock photo of some girl.
Exactly.
Like it wasn't like
That's
but
so
it was funny. Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, when I get noticed for that, I'm like, you noticed me on that? I'm like, really? Of all things I've done,
you were that dead body.
It just happened. I was at a baby shower, and the girl was talking about Law and SVU, and she's like, you know, she's like, I just watched this episode. She's like, I'm kind of playing catch up. She's like, I'm in season 23, but it was a few episodes ago. She's like, you really look like the girl that was on it. And I was like, well, which episode did you watch? And she's like, episode 2, like season 22 episode. And I was like, that is me. And she's like, that's you. And I was like, yeah, like it's so crazy.
That's so cool. Yeah, season 22, episode 3. Remember me in quarantine.
Remember me in quarantine.
They did this thing. This is just a little fun fact. See, I'm geeking out now. This is just a little fun fact. When Warren Light, who was the showrunner on SVU at the time, when he ran it, the episode titles, every letter was for what season it was. So Remember Me in Quarantine is 22 letters because it's season 22. And so, but it's only his season. So like season 18 he didn't do, so that wasn't the case. But like 13, like Angel's episode was called Child's Welfare because Child's Welfare makes up 13 letters.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was the case for all of his
That's like a really
episodes.
good fun fact.
Yeah, that's my fun fact.
Steal that.
That's why I do podcasts. to provide
That's
SVU
cool.
fun facts. Yeah, it's like this
that.
funny little anecdote. Yeah. Okay, so talk to me a little bit about. I want to talk about you're doing Mermaid now.
Yes.
You're associate choreographing Mermaid. Talk to me about it. You're working with JoAnn Hunter.
Yes, who I adore.
What was your first time? How'd you get the gig?
Okay, so I had my daughter, and then I wanted to come back into the industry. I mean,
that's a big thing. We shouldn't glaze over that. You had a daughter. You had a whole kid.
I did.
That's incredible.
She's the best.
Tommy.
She's
a beautiful baby. I was telling Mike she was a beautiful baby with these beautiful blue eyes that are like.
They're my dad's eyes, which is
really
So we didn't obviously think I'd be having a blue-eyed child.
Sure.
We thought maybe green. Mike has green eyes. I have hazel. Yeah. But we swore obviously brown hair and maybe like a green eye. Yeah. No, she came out blonde and bright blue eyes, and I was like,
incredible. Yeah.
Did I just murder? Yes, she's amazing.
How old is she
Absolutely
now?
amazing.
She a year and a half?
Yes,
Year
just
and a
turned
half.
a year and a half.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, she's a beautiful little kid.
Thank
yeah.
you. She's really fun. She's at a really fun age because now she's like trying to talk and like
Yeah.
tell me what she wants, which she
Yeah.
kind of has a little bit of.
When
me
did
in
she
her.
take? Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
She knows what she wants when she wants
Oh,
it.
incredible. Incredible.
It's very
When did she
adamant.
take her first steps? Is that?
She was like walking like with my finger or hand probably from the time she was 10 months.
Oh, oh my God.
But like freely, I would probably say 13 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And like she
that was
doesn't
me
walk,
too.
she runs.
Oh, really?
And she's very head heavy, so she's constantly, there's always a bruise somewhere
Aw.
on her head.
Is your house is baby proofed and all that?
I mean, as much as you can.
Yeah. Do you put the things on the
you can.
corners?
I
and
did
like
that. I
Okay.
did do. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
But now I have to put it on her crib too because she like wakes up and she's now getting all of her molars in the back, so she's like chewing on her crib, and I'm like, girlie, we don't eat
that's
wood.
the worst. Yeah. That's the worst.
Yeah. So she's in a fun phase though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Mermaid. So
Yes.
you're saying.
Okay, so
You
had
had
Tommy.
Tommy. Yes.
I then really wanted to break back into the industry, performing obviously, but it's kind of hard getting back into it.
Yeah.
Regardless of how long you leave the industry, like I performed until I was 5 months pregnant. It's not like I was out of the gig that long, and I did my first audition post Tommy 6 weeks after I had her.
Oh my gosh.
So it's
That was your maternity leave, 6 weeks.
literally. And it was for JoAnn, ironically.
Oh.
It was for when she did A Sign of the Times off Broadway.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And I told my agent, I was like,
New World
listen,
Stages.
I can go. I might have been 8 weeks postpartum, but I was like, I can go. I was like, I don't know, like, if I jump, if everything's gonna be good. You know what I mean? But like, I will do the best I can, and like, I will put out what I can. And I still had some baby weight, but like, luckily, I did drop the baby weight pretty quick.
Wow.
So I was able to like kind of wear my normal things, and everything's high waisted, thank God.
Incredible.
So you just hide a bunch of stuff.
Sure.
And so I made it really far in that, kind of to the end there. And being in the room with her, I was in for Bad Cinderella a bunch with her as well. And I was like, she seems really fun. She choreographed a bunch of Paper Mill too that I was in for. It just never aligned where we worked together. So when I was getting back in, I emailed Mark and I was like, I'm starting to like send some emails out to choreographers that I've worked with, but ones that I really want to work with. Like, I know you and JoAnn are very friendly. Like, would you mind connecting us, whether you pass me her email or like you email us on the same chain or something? Like, I really want to get in a room with her.
Yeah.
And I really was just trying to get into the room with a lot of choreographers, honestly, for just pre-pro, like not even to be an assistant or an associate, like just to kind of get myself back in the world. And to like get the creative juices flowing and stuff again, and just feel more comfortable after having a baby, going back to doing things for myself. And so he connected me with her, and then within like a week she reached out and she's like, hey, I actually have this, like, of course I know who you are, like Mark speaks so highly of you, your resume speaks for itself. I have this workshop coming up that I'd love if you want to be the associate on. And I was like, oh wow, associate, like I didn't think I'd be doing associate stuff, right? I was like, great. I was like, yeah, absolutely. And this was the show. It was called Brand Castle, and it was about post.
And this is a
Dracula.
workshop.
Yeah, and it was a workshop. And so I went in very honest and just like, hey, this is what I know, don't know about the show, and blah 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 blah.
How long ago was that?
This was in the summer, so this was in August.
Okay, cool.
August into September.
Cool.
Or was it September into October? I think it was somewhere in the
like
fall.
that. Yeah.
And so while we were doing it, she was director choreographer of the workshop of the show. I was associate choreographer, and then there was an associate director. And we all just worked really well together and had fun doing it. So we did like a pre-pro before we went into the workshop. And just in the rehearsal space, like we were able to like laugh and like really have a good time to get the work done. And I just really gravitated towards how she works in a room. And she's like super particular, but very much a collaborative person in the room. And like likes to hear how it feels in your body and like how could you teach this, and like she's not much of a counter, but I'm a counter. She's one of the, she's like go do and so then I translate that to counts for people. I think together we just worked really well. And then while we were doing Brent Castle, she was like, hey, I have Little Mermaid coming up at Paper Mill, like I'd love it if you'd be my associate, but you also have the option if you want to be in it, I'd be the dance captain. She's like, so I'll let you choose. You can either be in it and be the dance captain, like ensemble dance captain, or you'd be my associate on it. And me, I was like, no, I could just do both. So, like I could be in it and she's like, no, this is like a really big show. I need my associate to be my like right hand person, and then whoever's in the ensemble being the dance captain, like I need them on stage with like the cast. And so I was like, okay, cool. She's like, take it, like no stress, like we have time. like get back to me or whatever. And then
Yeah.
like a few days later, she's like, so have you thought of it? And
Yeah.
I was like, I have. So I chose to do the associate work because in my head, I was like, I've done so many shows at Paper Mill as a performer.
Yep.
And I love it. And I really want to be performing. And having done the auditions and stuff for Mermaid, I'm like, oh, this is really fun to like be a part of. But I also know that I am, like tooting my own horn, but good at being behind the table and being an associate as well. Like I have that brain from being a swing and dance captain that I know I'm an asset.
Yeah.
And I really like being on a team with her.
Yeah.
That I think it will hopefully set me up for the future as to like having that work relationship with her, and then hopefully getting in a show here and there with her or not, or whatever the case may be. But I've been like really enjoying my time on the other side of the table as well. And I know I could longevity wise also do that.
Yeah.
And so I sort of have seen it as like, I still really want to perform, but I also really like this side of it too. And so if I can get those opportunities under my belt, like being associate for Phil, and like when I associated Sergio with Bronx Tale, like it just gives me more opportunities for something other than being the performer for when that is done.
Yes. Tell me about hosting an audition. I mean, you said you did that with Bronx Tale too, but tell me about what, I mean, it's interesting because there's so many of them happening right now. And I'll tell you, honestly, I've not had the best experiences with dance calls because there's an intimidation. There's like this whole thing where it's like the people who are in the room with you are, you're just intimidated. And for me personally, I felt like a weaker link in a way. And then I don't know, I think I just gone to enough that I was like, oh, I think all I have to do is just like give myself a little bit more credit, puff up my chest a little bit. And then suddenly the stakes started to feel a little lower. And it's funny. It's like almost like, I think when you have a bad or like a dance call, they're like, oh, that didn't go too well. You start to go like, rather than it's like if you had a good dance call, it doesn't mean that you booked it. It doesn't mean that they'll remember you or that they liked you. You know, so it's just like it's such a subjective thing. But talk to me about what you're thinking about when you're going into dance calls. And
so I always start the call. Okay, so when I go in as a performer, I try as much as I possibly can to treat it like a class. I really try not to like put I need to book this on it, because I just feel like then I'm in my head the entire time and I'm not really doing what they can see me do. So when I run the auditions, like specifically with Mermaid, and even Bronx Tale I did it, like I go in and I tell everyone, like, I want you to leave this room feeling as confident and that you showed me your best self. And not leaving here being like, what just happened? No one ever feels good doing that. And we do enough of these that there's no reason it needs to be that way, to be honest. And so I think also being a performer, translating into now leading a room, it's like, this is how I would like the room to be led. And so I try and structure it as much of a class as possible. I try and switch lines as much as I can. I try and break into groups as much as I can. I try and be as clear as I'm initially teaching as I can. So that, and I'm a component of like, do not be afraid to ask a question, because I don't want you leaving here being like, well, that didn't go my way because X, Y, and Z, and that'll be my fault. Like if you mess up, it's on, you know what I mean? It's on you. So I like going in that way, and I really try and speak that way and speak on a peer level, not that I'm above or better than, because I'm not. Because tomorrow I'm going to be in the audition room with you. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not better than you. I just, in this situation, just happen to have a different title than going in as a performer. But I'm not any better or any worse than the person that I normally am standing next to. And so that's why I like when people come in and be like, I didn't know if I should say hi to you or not, or like how that makes you feel. And I'm like, no, absolutely. Like, I'm going to see you tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, yes, say hello. Always be that person. Like, I'm not any different than I was yesterday when I was in the ECC call myself. You know what I mean? So I think, which it kind of hit me after the Mermaid ECCs, when a lot of people were Instagram messaging me or just like reaching out through my website, email. And they were just like, I just really want you to know, like, I really appreciate how you ran the room. And like, it was really inviting and warm. And it felt like I left, like I had fun. Like I can't tell you the last time I had fun in an audition. And like really TRC casting got a bunch of emails, and like Paper Mill got a bunch of emails. And I was just like, wow, like that, you don't think you're going to make that impact on people as it's happening, because it's like, I saw close to like 400 people in one day. And so like your brain is crazed. But
was JoAnn in the room with you?
Not for the ECC.
Okay.
No, she was doing a play in Connecticut. So I did it solely by myself.
Wow.
But again, it's like, they're like, these are how many equity people are here. These are the amount of non-equity people. And I even say to the equity, I was like, I started as non-equity, as I'm sure many of you did. I really want to try as best as I can to at least get a group of them in per more
Yeah,
than
yeah, if you
adapting
can,
it.
of course, yeah.
Yeah. I said, so I teach as efficient as I can and as quick as I can
Yeah.
to make sure you guys feel okay. and
How many
confident.
people did you do per a group?
40.
Okay. And how many, was it an hour?
I did it in like 45 to 50 minutes.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Impressive. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, this is actually, I just like I was like, oh my gosh, question.
Yeah.
How in the world are you, because I've always thought about it where I was like, you're sitting down, whether it's on the floor or whatever, behind the table, and you're watching groups of how many people, like 4 or 5?
We did, 5 at a time.
So you're watching these groups of 5. How did they go twice?
Of course.
Okay. I like going twice.
I'm not a pro. I'm not a component of like the one and done.
Well, some people.
Unless I'm in the front and I
prefer
do
it.
great.
Yeah. Well, some people prefer
Yeah.
the one and done because they're like, I feel tired by the second pass. I'm like, I
No.
really would like to. Anyway, how in the world are you able to diversify people enough to warrant a callback, or to what are you writing on that sheet that gives you? And it's not even necessarily saying like what are you writing, but rather how are you saying yes or no, or this person did that. Oh, I really like that in that short amount of time while doing. It's like imagine if 5 people came and auditioned and sang for you at once, and now you have to try to decipher. You know, like what is your?
So prior to the ECC, I sat down with JoAnn and I was like, what are you looking for in your ensemble? Like talent-wise, essentially, like what kind of world do you want to live? Obviously, it's under the sea. You know what I mean? It's I say what world, but like, what's your movement going to be? Like, what the quality of your movement's going to be? And you could kind of tell from the audition combo, like the world she's going to live in for majority of the show, even though the combo was 10 8 counts. Like, you kind of know where she's going with it. And so a bunch of people also have to fly, which is another component. And so it's like with flying, there are weight limits and things that you have to be mindful of. And so if I know this girl is going to be in for a Mer's sister or whoever, or he's going to be in for the Scuttle cover, like I need to know that they're in the world that they'd be able to fly. And it's a wide range, but like there's all, and that's what I'm saying with like, it's not always just talent. It's like there's so many layers of things that have to happen or have to come into effect. And the same thing, it's like Paper Mill has X amount of equity contracts, X amount of non-equity contracts. And so I was like pretty favorable in a lot of people just because like, I don't know, I always would rather give someone the shot and have JoAnn make that choice than me.
Right.
And some people, like, if I know they didn't audition well, but I know them as a performer and I've worked with them, like, of course you're going to put them, like, I would put them through. Like, some people aren't as nice as I am, I guess. But if I really, really try to pull out the best of each. And so, like, with Sergio, he has, like, a grading system. It's, like, 1 through 5, plus, minus. Like, he has his whole thing.
Okay. See, that's what I'm wondering. That's exactly what I'm wondering.
That's his system. Like, he has his system where it's, like, 3+ is, like, they're, like, mediocre, a little bit more advanced dancer, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So that's his. JoAnn's is kind of like she writes some notes on the side, but I just, because it was so many people, I just did, like, a check plus, question mark, or an X. And so I kind of, like, knew, like, if they're the check plus, I'm like, okay, she was like he was a really solid dancer, and like JoAnn would really like them. If it was just a check, I'm like, it looks like they have like the singing capabilities to like really portray, say, this cover, but maybe not the strongest of dancers. The question mark was like, I don't really know them and I don't feel like I got enough out of them in this thing. So that's when casting and like the director can weigh in. You know what I mean? And then the X was like, really you're just not right for the show. Doesn't mean you're not right for something else.
That is
so that's how I went into this. That's not to say that's what I do all the time, but for this particular show, because I know it's pretty specific, that's kind of how I like weeded out. So all my question marks, I'd then go to casting and they're like, no, we know he can't or she can't dance, or that's not their strong point, but they can sing, or like if someone was dancing, they would come over and be like, this would be a really good Ursula cover, and they'd be like, okay, great. Like, so if they can move well enough to be in the ensemble, they know she can do the Ursula stuff really well. You know what I mean?
That's fascinating.
So it's truly a collaborative process.
Yeah,
wow, and that's kind of how I got
so interesting. That actually just kind of like blew my brain. That just blew my brain. That's awesome. I have one more dance call question to ask you in terms of running the room, because how are you about character-y type stuff? Like, if it's like something where you see, I was in a dance call recently where this one girl made this big bold choice. I mean, like, she went there. It was so, and it was honestly awesome. I mean, it was so cool. And in the same breath, I imagine, not in a bad way, but like distracting, because all I wanted to do was watch her. I guess we're like,
there's kind of like a fine line. There's a line where, like, sure, you're grabbing someone's attention. But there's also a line of like, is it becoming a mockery? are you just really bold in that choice and
Yeah.
like that's what you do? Because
Yeah.
inevitably with these ECCs, you're becoming a part of an ensemble, which is creating a world of the show.
Yeah.
Some ensembles, like, you have to blend. Majority of them, you have to blend. And if this is what you're doing, I get in an audition situation, you really want them to, like, look at you.
Yeah.
But then you have to think, like, okay, well, are these the bold choices you're going to be making in the show, and is it right for the show? So I think there is, like, a time and place for kind of all of it.
Yeah. That's interesting.
And I just think sometimes less is actually more.
Yeah.
Like, subtlety can read a lot more than, like, the overdramatic stuff sometimes.
Yes, totally.
And sometimes the opposite, but...
Yeah. Tell me what you're most excited about with this piece, with Mermaid.
Mermaid?
Yeah.
They told me I might have to fly during some of the like tech stuff, which I'm petrified of.
Oh, no way.
But
Do
of
you have
course,
like a
in the room,
heights
I'm
thing?
like, yeah, yes.
Oh,
but I'm like,
really?
no, I'm so excited. Can't wait. But in my head, I'm like, oh my God. I literally text my mom. She's like, you love it. Roller coasters are so fun. You love being in the air. I'm like, yes, you're right. You're right.
Oh.
So that seems like the most fun. And I'm actually excited to be on the other side of the table at
Yeah.
Paper Mill because
Yeah.
I've always been in the shows.
Yes.
And I've dance captained majority of them. So I have like a relationship with the crew and with like stage management being the dance captain because then I run understudy rehearsals and stuff. But this is the first time that like once it opens that I'm a part of a show that I then like step away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a show, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Tommy can come see this show. I mean,
Yes,
like, that's like,
I'm so excited.
this is going to be her first show.
Yes.
Oh, that's so
Yes.
cool. That's
so
awesome.
of course, so I have to see which like show I'm going to bring her to. Obviously
Yeah.
a matinee, but
Yeah.
and I'll bring her in a few times during tech and whatnot just to
Yeah.
like kind of experience it.
That's really special.
I'm really excited. So I keep trying to show her parts of the Little Mermaid. She
Yes.
is Moana obsessed.
Okay. Yeah.
Like obsessed.
Okay. You could, you know what? Because they're both ocean based, you could just tell her that it's Moana.
Yeah.
She might believe you.
She knows. The second the opening credits happen, she
Yeah.
goes, Mo. And
Mo.
I'm like, no, we're going to watch Ariel.
Yeah.
That's another thing. New York, we say Ariel.
Yeah.
It's Ariel,
Ariel.
to everyone else.
Ariel.
So in the audition room, of course, I'm like, Ariel, and everyone's like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I
well,
know.
Sebastian says it that way, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let me ask you this. This is like a totally separate aside. In terms of Tommy, what would you feel about her being a performer?
So many people ask me that question.
Yeah.
Okay, so the like logistical side of my brain is like, no, she will be an engineer. She will be an accountant. Something that is
well,
like.
what does Mike do?
He's a teacher.
Okay. Yes. Right. That's it. I didn't know that.
But something that is like money driven.
Yes. Okay. Sure.
But then the other side of my brain is like, my parents never forced me to do anything that I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
And they let me chase my dream. And
Yeah.
so who would I be to not let her chase hers if that is
Yeah.
what she wants to do?
Yeah.
And
It's-
luckily I know enough about it that I can guide her
Yeah.
in the right direction.
Yeah,
like
right.
my mom and dad had to like learn on the fly,
Yeah.
essentially,
Yeah.
and
My
did a really
parents
good
too.
job about it.
Yeah.
And just were so supportive. So it's like,
Yeah.
I would say like, no, I don't want my kid doing theater, but also if like that's her passion and that's what she really wants to go for, then like we're really gonna go for it. Like I'm
Yeah.
from a family that it's like, if this is what you're choosing, like we're going full force into it, and we're not like half doing it.
It's such an atypical thing. It's like the idea of like, well, yeah, just like, or rather not atypical, typical thing of like the performing is such a, and I think a lot of performers feel like I would rather my kid not do this because
100%, yeah. Yeah. So that's, I do have like, I would love her to do the like, and I keep saying engineer just because she's so meticulous and smart. I don't know why I keep gravitating towards that. But
buy
like
her like Legos and stuff.
yeah, like she's very particular about very certain things, and so I feel like she has to do something where it works that part of her brain.
Yeah.
But she also like loves dance and singing and like always wants a dance party in the kitchen, and so I'm like, she's gonna do something in the arts.
She might do both. Maybe
Right.
who knows?
Who knows?
She might dance. Are you gonna put her in dance?
Yes,
Okay.
of course.
Yeah.
Where I don't
She
know.
should be a 2-year-old little tapper too.
I know. My best friend owns a studio, and it's like all of the dance teachers' kids are in the class, essentially, but she's a year younger than all of them.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I could just bring her for like socializing and whatever
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
And my sister works for the Pennsylvania Ballet, and she's like, Brittany, you know, they're very strict. And she's like, you don't want her going to a dance class and thinking that like, say the kids are running around, like that's what dance is. Like that's not dance. Like we want it structured. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
So it's like, me, I'm like, I just want her to do. And then my sister's
right.
like, just let her be 1.5.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
We're in Gymboree right now, and she
No, that
loves
makes sense.
it. Climbing on everything and doing everything. Yeah.
Wait, what is that?
It's now called, it's called Kids Club.
Okay.
And when I was younger, it was called Gymboree. And basically, you go and like the whole room is like padded with mats and slides and things you can climb and do. And there's like this week we were learning about like high and low for her age. So it's like everything was like reaching up and going down and like climbing up the slide high and then going down the slide low.
I want to do that now.
There's parachutes and it's really fun. And she really loves it. So we're in that, and she has like a little music class she goes to. She's really into the Gymboree.
That's awesome.
I think because they like play music the whole time, so she's like, if she's not climbing on something, she's dancing in the middle.
They should do a Gymboree for adults.
They should. Honestly, they really should.
They really should. Okay, this is a question that we've been asking every time. Give me, because we're big into like manifestation.
Yeah.
Give me a dream guest to be sitting in this chair. I'm asking for a dream guest to have on the podcast.
For you?
Yeah, for me to have on here.
Ooh. Within the industry?
Could be anyone.
Oh man, this is hard.
It could be Mia.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be Mia.
Who would I think? I don't know. This is really hard.
There's so many. We've gotten variety from Carol Burnett to Mackenzie Kurtz to I'm blanking.
To be honest, this might be biased, but I think Sergio is really, really inspiring.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I've met him a couple times.
Just from where he started, and how he curated his life, I
would love to have Sergio.
I've met him a couple times. He honestly is like the true American dream. Like he came from Colombia and moved to Canada, and then came to the States to do what he loved to do. Like he didn't start dancing until he was much older.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, like I think high school, like teenage years, 20s. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never forget his Tony speech. I thought his Tony speech. Was
and like,
incredible.
and that's who he is, and he's super prideful of it. Same with Luis Delgado.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, like just listening to them, it's like I sit there all the time and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
So those would probably be.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I'll take
it. Especially for you, I feel like it would be a good.
Yeah, I would love to have him on. You heard? Okay, and so now we have a fun little bit. So, because the show is called I Want to Be Like You. Okay. We do. Have you ever played with AI at all? Have you played with AI?
I'm so scared of AI.
Okay. But today you're not going to be scared of AI. Today you're going to love AI.
Can't wait.
So this segment is called AI Want to Be Like You.
Oh, cute.
Right? Thank you. Okay, so what I did was I put in a bunch of descriptions. I asked AI to curate a bunch of descriptions of the choreo in shows that you have been in.
Okay, fun.
And you're going to guess. They gave me like a little like 8 count or so. Okay. And you're gonna guess what show it is, and for bonus points, what number.
Okay.
Oh,
I gotta think about the shows again.
Here we go. Yeah, it like ranges. It ranges from like Paper Mill stuff to like tour stuff to like Broadway stuff to all of it. Whew. Okay, here we go. This sequence starts with a confident, deliberate strut, as though every step tells the audience exactly who you are. A swift hair flip sets the tone for your superior attitude, followed by a fluid, almost dismissive hip roll and hand flick. You finish with a striking pose, one knee popped, an outstretched arm, and a cool, almost bored gaze to the audience that makes it clear you're untouchable.
Okay, my first gut reaction was obviously A Bronx Tale. But I'm so wrong.
No, you're not. It's not Bronx Tale. It's not Bronx Tale.
Because the first part you see of the girls is like we walk out and we go boom to the guys.
Yeah.
Okay, well, wrong. Here we go. And I am the type of person who likes to get 100 on tests, so this is not going to be good for me.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully this doesn't destroy your... It says there's a hint if needed. This dance oozes confidence, style, and a touch of I know I'm the best attitude.
I am in the number?
I'm not sure. I don't.
Is it I Like It from A Bronx Tale?
No, it's not Bronx Tale.
It's not Bronx Tale at all. Great.
Yeah. You gotta let go of Bronx Tale.
I got it. Yeah. Just let that go.
No, I'm kidding. Bronx Tale will be on here eventually. But.
Okay. Well, what shows have I done? Not West Side.
No.
Oh
do you guys know it?
You guys do know it.
You know it.
Wow.
Okay, I'll tell you.
Okay, go.
It's Mean Girls.
Mean Girls.
It's Mean Girls, and it's Meet the Plastics.
Yes.
And it's the strut, and it's the confidence, and you're untouchable. That's okay. You have plenty more to redeem yourself, so it's okay. It's okay. Okay.
What if I fail all of these? Can we redo them and then I get?
Then it's cut. Then we're not putting it in.
Fantastic.
Okay. Let me see what I have. What do I have in the back here? Anything? Okay. The movement begins with a firm stomp, determined and full of anger. A statement that these This ensemble is taking control of their own destiny. The chest pops convey rebellion, with each sharp move showing defiance against authority. The arm throws and low squat add energy, symbolizing how we're banding together to challenge the adults.
I know it. Revolting Children,
Yes,
Matilda.
it's Revolting Children. Okay, boom, boom,
Honestly,
boom.
one of my favorite numbers.
Okay, good. That means this is staying in the podcast. No, it is. It's like an awesome number. That number is like...
That one and When I Grew Up. Truly, when I did my final show there, I cried on the swings as I had to sing.
I don't think it's possible to listen to that song without crying. I think it's one of the best musical
theater songs.
theater
And now having
songs.
a daughter, I'm like...
Yeah. It's one of the best musical theater songs ever written. What did you think of the movie?
I actually thought it was cool.
I loved it.
Yeah, I thought they did a really great job. But you know who? Ellen did it.
Oh,
Ellen
yeah?
was the associate for the London Matilda
Yeah.
with Peter Darling. So I feel like she knew that world, and so
Yeah.
her like choreography and stuff transitioned into the movie
Yeah,
pretty well.
I loved
because it
the
wasn't
movie.
like they took on an entire new team.
Yeah. I think the movie was underrated. I think that not enough people talked about it.
Yeah.
I loved
It
it.
did really good. Yeah, I liked it.
Okay. Next one. You start with a bold step back on your right foot. You know, you really can't, like, who knows if this is really probably inaccurate, you know,
Okay.
but it's a vibe.
I got it.
Snapping your fingers to set the tone of the strong, proud community. The movement feels grounded, smooth, and effortlessly cool as you step forward, owning every beat. On count 5, okay. You sharply toss your right hand upward like you're making a big gesture to the crowd, symbolizing confidence and swagger. The final 2 counts are all about attitude with double shoulder pops that embody the brash masculinity of the neighborhood, finishing with a powerful stance.
Okay, is this Webster Ave?
Close. You're really close.
Gosh.
You are really close.
Okay. Is it Bronx Tale?
It is Bronx
Okay.
Tale. It is Bronx Tale.
Oh,
ChatGPT called it the Bronx Tale, so clearly some of this is off.
Okay, so it's not Webster Ave. Is it Belmont Ave?
It's Belmont
Okay,
Ave.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it's Belmont
It's
Ave.
Belmont Ave.
Yep. I feel like if it was Webster, then you would have had a lot of the...
So, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Okay. I have another. You begin with a cheeky shimmy, full of playful energy, as if you're the center of the spotlight and loving it.
Love it.
The grapevine has a swift, precise rhythm that echoes confidence, while the sharp hip-hop on counts 3 and 4 add a layer of sass. Your final pose is bold, knees bent, fists clenched, and you're not just standing, you're asserting that this moment is all yours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
This is really hard.
It's funny watching you get
Because
nervous.
I'm honestly, if
You're
you
doing
could
it.
feel- I'm sweating. I'm dripping with sweat. This is more nerve-wracking than just going to an
Than
audition.
being in the show.
Yeah. Okay. We have a really like grounded down
Yeah.
ending here.
I feel like I could give you the hint, but the hint it totally gives it away. Do you know the show?
No.
Okay. I'll tell you this part of the hint. Okay. Confidence and a little bit of drama in every move.
Drama in every move.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. This is kind of vague. It's kind of vague. Do you guys know it or no?
No.
You guys don't know it either? Okay.
Good.
Okay.
I don't feel as bad.
Then maybe
I'm in them and I feel
yeah,
horrible.
maybe I'm like, oh, this is not. Then maybe it's just not accurate. It's the prom.
Okay.
And
I was gonna say the prom.
Yeah, it's the prom. And it's Tonight Belongs to You.
Also, amazing freaking closer.
Awesome
That's one.
number. Oh,
Yeah.
that is like explosion type number. Okay, I have the last one. This is the last one.
God, I need to pass.
Yeah, this is
I never
this
fail.
is the
I
big
don't
one.
fail.
Yeah. We may be able to like AI the episode and just make
And
you
just
get
be
it
like,
right.
Brittany gets them
Yeah,
all
right.
correct.
Okay, start with a heel clicking step forward on your right foot, proudly puffing your chest to exaggerate your swagger. Then swing both arms in a circular motion around your body as though you're showing off your strength. On count 5, it's always count 5. It's always count 5.
It always is count by.
Count 5, that's the turning point. That's the climax. On count 5, you perform a quick hop with fists on your hips, adding a victorious feel. The final 2 counts have you tossing your head back dramatically in laughter, stomping your foot with a theatrical flair to emphasize the bravado.
Okay, this is gonna be on a whim. Gaston, Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, that was right. Oh, that's perfect. And for the last one, that was perfect.
I'm back in.
Oh
Back in the
man,
game.
boom.
I'm back in the game.
You passed. You
Thank
passed.
God.
You got 100. I'll take it.
Okay.
Yeah. That was for 100,000 points.
Thank
so
you.
that okay, our last question. This is the final question. This is always the same question. You know what? Sorry, let me add one more thing in here. Because you're from Staten Island. Okay, I feel like I have to do this with the Staten Island guests. Okay. People come to Staten Island. You have friends come to Staten Island, from Manhattan or elsewhere. What is your Staten Island tour? Where do you take them on Staten Island?
Only food places.
Okay, which ones?
Royal Crown.
Yes, just went there the other day.
Obviously.
Amazing, perfect.
Joe and Pat's.
Yes.
I know everyone's going to say Danino's, but I don't think Danino's sauce is very good. I think Joe and Pat's is better.
I like Joe and Pat's, yeah.
Also, honestly, Pizza Giove is pretty good on New York Plain.
That's what Tommy said. I've never been to Pizza
It
Giove.
is really good. All their stuff's imported from Italy.
Oh,
it's real good.
That's why. Those are
I'm
three
a
like
big
hot
fan of
spots.
Bocelli's. I know it's so old school.
I've never been to
It's
Bocelli's.
great. Real typical Italian.
Okay.
Enoteca, which is by the St. George Theater. It's the restaurant where they have all the different nonas.
Yeah.
I just think it's super unique.
Lovely.
And like not many places have it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then I really like Beso.
Wait, Beso is where is that one?
Now it's on Bay Street.
Yeah.
It used to be by the courthouses, but now it's on Bay Street.
Okay.
I think their tapas are really good.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. We'll take it. That was awesome.
And then do I do hibachi? I mean, do we go to Arirang?
Do it. Arirang is classic. Arirang is iconic.
It is iconic.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, those would be my.
That was one that we forgot to do with Phil, so we'll have to like text him or something.
Yeah.
Okay, the final question. This is the real final question. I ask it every
ready.
time. We started the podcast asking you who your I Want to Be Like You as a kid was. Who is your I Want to Be Like You now?
Oh, that's a good one.
It could be anyone. It doesn't have to be a celebrity. I'm sure Mia's still in the picture.
Honestly, I just want to be a good person. Like, I just want to, I don't know if there's so many people that are in my life that have all little snippets that I just wish I could take and put into one person. I just want to make people feel loved and special and unique, and that like who they are is amazing and great.
That's awesome.
So I don't know if that, I feel like so many people in my life encompass all little bits of that, but not one particular person is like the be all end all, which I think is great because I feel like I've been influenced by so many people in my life that I would like to take all the best parts of all those people and make one person.
That's perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing this. You're the greatest. And there it is. I Want to Be Like Brittany Conigatti. Thank you so much.
I Want to Be Like You with Elbi Cespedes is produced by Elbi and Christian Cespedes. Special thanks to Angelina Cespedes, Ina Cespedes, and of course, Brittany Conigatti.